pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on our agenda is to ratify the agenda. Are there any corrections or additions?
I'd like to add a planning and zoning board member appointment.
Okay, Commissioner Franchuk adds a P&Z issue. Anything else? Commissioner Claris, you want to add? A lot of people don't have the SWC, so let's make a motion to add that.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna add a swimsuit presentation for funds at the end of the meeting. Sorry. Chairman Messer, I'd like to add the SWIMC group, our community supervision program. They're here to request some opioid funds for their program.
Okay, any others? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, it is 9 o'clock. The Stark County has noticed and has 3 individual semi-trucks available for auction today. I see we have a nice showing. Mike, you didn't bring enough donuts, so we're in trouble. But we'll call Chad Stoltz, in-house auctioneer extraordinaire, will come forth. And so we'll set out the rules, but basically what we're gonna do is there are 3 trucks on the agenda. We will bid, and the high bid will have bidder's choice, 1 truck at a time. And any other?
So numbered lot 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
1131, 1132, 11.
Yep.
Okay.
Jed, do you need the information or?
I guess before we get started, is there any questions on the trucks? It's 1131, 1132, 1133. We do have service records available. If you want to look at that quick, you sure can. Todd's got them in the back. We will offer choice. So the high bid first time can take either truck. We'll go through it 3 times. So you can take either truck. The owner's manuals are underneath the driver or the passenger seat, excuse me. So they're in there. And then at the end of the auction, you go down this hallway down to the auditor's office, and you can pay for them there. You got till 4 o'clock today. Does that sound right, Karen? Yep, 4 o'clock Mountain Time to get those proceeds in. At that time, you will get the keys for them. You can have the truck, and as good business, Karen will mail the titles out to you. So, are there any questions on that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can the first bidder buy multiple trucks?
I think the decision was we're going to do each one individually, but that's a great question. So you can take one, then we'll go again. You can take another one. The other thing is there are county members, county employees, county commissioners, and they're available to bid as well, and they're going to write a check just like everybody else. Okay? Any other questions? There we go. We can take choice, 31, 32, or 33. And as it says in there, it's $25,000 to start. Who'd give $25,000? Thank you. Now $26,000 at 25, 26 at $26,000, but the 26, 7 at $27,000, but the 28,000, but the 28, 29 at 29, 30 at $30,000, 31 at $31,000, 30, 31 at $30,000, 31, 31, 32, 32,000, 31, 32, 33, 33, 34 at $34,000, 35. $35,000, but the 34, 35, and now 34, 35, $36,000, but the 35, 36,000 at 35, $36,000, 35, 36, at 35, 36, 37 at $37,000, but the 37, at 36, $37,000, but the 37, 38, $38,000, but the 38, 39, at $39,000, 38, $39,000, but the 38, $39,000, 38, 39, at $39,000, 38, $39,000. Anybody else? $39,000, but what if they take the one you want? 39, 38, $39,000, 39. I'm going to sell it right here. $38,000, Glenn. Takes 1133. And that's Glenn Rushow. So we got 31 and 32 left. 31 and 32 left. At 25, 26, at 27, $27,000, 28,000, 29, 29, $30,000, 31, at 31, 32, $32,000, 32, 33, at 33, $34,000, 35, 35, 35, $36,000, 35, 36, 37, at 37,000, 36, $37,000, 36, 37, at 38,000, but the 37, $38,000, 37, 38, at 38,000, 37, $38,000 is all done, 37, $38,000, 38, 38, $38,000. Sold 37,000. What's the name? Oh, that's you, Lee. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I had it over here. Lee. Okay. And which number you want, Lee? Takes 32. Takes 32. There we go. Well, I guess we got the best truck left. Number 31. 31. Well, how many dollars here? 25, $26,000, 26, $27,000, but the 27, 27, 28, 29, 29, 28, 29, and now 30,000, 29, 30. Now 1, 31, 32, 32, 33, 33, 34, 34, 35, 35, 36,000, 35, 36, 35, 36,000, but the 35, 36,000, 35, 36,000. Anybody else? 35, 36. And now what do you think now, Lee? 36,000, 37,000, 37, 38, 38,000, 37, 38, 38, 38, 39, 39, 39, 38, 39,000, 38, 39,000. Anybody else here? 38, 39,000, but the 39, 39, 39. Sold 38,000. Wine rice. I think that's all. Thank you, guys. And again, just pay down the hall. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, bidders and buyers. Okay, I think we will need a motion to accept the bids so that we can formally process sale
I make a motion to accept all three bids.
by Commissioner White. Do I have a second?
I'll say,
By Commissioner Marsh. Since it's money, we will do roll call vote. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Thank you. Yeah, so, yeah. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda are minutes. You have before you the minutes from the March 4th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the March 4th minutes.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Marsh. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion, hearing none, motion carries. The March 4th minutes are approved. We have in front of you the March 11th meeting minutes. Review and ask for approval of those.
So move.
Moved by Chairman Franchuk. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Claris. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. March 11th minutes are approved. Okay. Accounts payable. You've all received a copy of the bills.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable.
By Commissioner White,
I'll second that.
by Commissioner Clarence. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Who started this?
Commissioner White.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, Park Board Commission items. I don't believe there was any action items except for some, do we have to approve those bills that were approved?
I don't
They
think
were on
we-
the accounts payable, I think.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so no items there. The next item is certificate of recognition for years of service. The first recognition is for Paul Haroff for 10 years with the county. Is Paul here today? Doesn't look like it. Cody or Randy or someone want to come up for it? You can give it to him. He's working. There we go. It's good. Thank you, and thank you, Paul, for your service over the years. The second recognition goes to Nicole Fath for 5 years.
I got her hard at work upstairs.
She's also working. That's good to hear. So if, give this to Amanda for 5 years. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for your service as well.
Both of them.
Yep. Okay, we'll call on Sheriff Lee for his monthly report.
Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. For the month of March, Stark County Sheriff's Office, we had 1,644 calls for service. 277 of those were traffic stops, 293 were public relations stops. We had 6 theft-related calls for service in March. We had 19 K-9 usages between Thor and Myra. Had 81 school zone patrols. We responded to 5 accidents, which is obviously extremely low, so I'll put my 2 cents in that in a second here. Transports, we had 9 prisoner, 10 court, 1 medical, 0 juvenile, 2 assists, and 3 mental health. Civil division had 247 paper attempts, 11 subpoenas, 183 civil papers, 10 criminal papers. There was 90 total arrests for the month of March. 76 of those were warrants served. Last weekend, we had proms in Richardson, South Hart, and Dickinson. Those went very well. This weekend's Belfield. DOT grant time, I haven't really talked about that much in the past, but March, April, and May, we do a lot of federal Department of Transportation grant work. So that involves us doing lots of additional traffic stops, being out there, being visible more. Obviously, there's more cars, more lights going. I would argue that attributed to our greatly reduced amount of accidents in March. Again, being present and deterrence is what we do, so I can't prove that, but that's would make sense. Manpower, we're gonna have some manpower issues coming up in the next couple of months. We have one out, had a shoulder surgery yesterday, we have a back surgery, we have paternity leave, and of course Dave's still over in Minnesota training with K9 Cato. For the month, or for the first quarter of 2025, I just wanted to touch on the permits that we've recorded. January, we had 343 permits issued for a total of $19,812.44. Month of February, we had 316 truck reg permits issued for $22,556.48. And March, the month of March, we had 297 truck reg permits issued for $14,846.17. Any questions?
Any questions for the sheriff?
Thank you.
Hearing none, thank
We
you.
appreciate you getting your report into us soon enough so it could get on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a little tardy, well, there should be a consequences for that, but.
Today's the April 1st, is it not?
Okay, next item on the agenda, we're gonna do a quick shift. We'll go with county road engineer reports first. KLJ, Mr. Krebs, you wanna come forth and give yours?
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Give you a quick update. So roundabout projects, we've been working on contacting the landowners and setting up meetings for right-of-way discussions. Then we're also working on on the plans, and then the draft environmental document, that's still at the DOT for review, and we're just waiting on that to come back for comments. On the box culvert west of South Hart, that's Edward H. Schwartz construction. So that project, shortly after our last meeting, was put on hold for some plan revisions that were being made, and then those changes being approved by the DOT. So change orders 1 and 2 to incorporate those revised sheets were approved yesterday. And then during this time, the contractor went to another project. And then they'll be back once they finish their tentative plan.
Still be done by the end of September?
With the change, they did get some additional days, so it's now an October completion date. They do plan to work on it here, end of April or early May or whatever works out. So they do have some additional days, but they are hoping to still get it done earlier on.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? None, thank you. Northern Plains, Mr. Wood.
Well, good morning. Just a real brief update on the 131st and 48th Street projects by South Arc Belfield area. We've got a pre-construction meeting set up for tomorrow. Lipicek Construction is going to be doing that project. I think they want to get started fairly soon, so maybe next week they will see some activity. In the meantime, we're kind of coordinating with the fencing crews and working with utility adjustments, but not a whole lot new to report, but that should get started next week. So that's about all I had for updates.
Is there any more markings on Highway 10 out by the bypass going on the outbound lanes? Had a couple comments that it's really nice that they're marked when you come into town, but some people are confused when they leave town, the turn lane versus the bypass lane, so just.
So what are you
Well-
hearing as far as what they
Well,
would like to see?
So you have the arrows on the pavement when you're coming into town, whether you turn or go straight, and they're just wondering, would that be a concern? Is it a safety concern as you leave town?
We can certainly add it. It's not
just
warranted,
curious.
but we can certainly add it. Because that whole intersection is going to be sealed.
Yeah.
So if we want to add something, we can certainly add it.
Okay. I would leave it at your discretion, I guess, just a comment I had received.
I know some people that have to drive that road every day, and it's probably a little tougher at night to see what that road, well, did we just paint over it? Is that all we did last year? And we're
Yes.
just painted over the markings with black, and then we're gonna seal it this year?
Yeah, and you can kind of see the old stripe
Yes.
is kind of starting to come through again.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that'll get sealed permanently this summer, but that,
Are
I
you
drive it too,
asking,
it is sort of confusing. but-
like, just where it says passing lane, right, instead of, or,
Yeah, so when you come into town, there's
passing lane, but-
arrows on that kind of directs you with what you're gonna do, whereas if you leave town, it kind of moves you to the right, even to go straight, and I
Instead of
just
the
had a
turn
couple
lane.
comments that it's confusing, it would be nice.
yeah, I don't know if there should be a sign that's a turning lane, and, because the passing lane's on the right.
Correct. We'll revisit it.
Yep,
I
take a
don't
look.
think anything is warranted, but we certainly can
Okay,
look at it.
thank you. Anything else? Okay. Okay, so we'll go into road department discussion. So we have some updates. Commissioner White, you want
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
chime in as well?
Yep, so, Al Heiser retired, a couple weeks ago. We put out a listing for a replacement and for that position. We had 2 applicants, that applied. I know, I think Dunn County was also doing something similar, exercise of trying to bring on a new road superintendent. And I don't know what their success is either, but, 2 people applied. We just kind of put it on hold. Some of the questions that is coming up, I know we've talked in the past about a project engineer for the county at some point. I don't know if we can justify, with benefits and everything, a $100 and some thousand, $80,000 salary with fringe benefits and everything at this point, with only having 2 projects going on. But we do need to continue with the leadership that we have. Cody Wall applied last year for the assistant and has been kind of filling in those roles as we speak. I want to open it up to the commissioners to get some feedback and some thoughts. My thought process is nothing has changed. Al retired. Cody is filling those roles and responsibilities at this point until the commission decides which direction we want to go. By splitting it up into different department heads or structural leads, I have some concerns about a reporting process. Currently, we have 3 individuals from the road department here today. Obviously, there's work to be done too elsewhere. So I think everybody at the road department's kind of waiting on us to see the structure process, how we want to move forward, hear our thoughts. But in my opinion, we have somebody such as Cody that we've put in that position right now. Until something changes, everything reports up through him. He comes to the commission like Al did, instead of having 3 directors or whatever coming at us. I know our goal is not to get top heavy at the county shop.
Right. Well, we had a motion that was made and passed at the last meeting, and in your minutes, it talked about having Todd and Randy and Cody each take a responsibility of leadership on a temporary basis, and my position is I would like to see that arrangement tried for a longer term. My other thought was that you and I could go visit with those 3 so we could define responsibilities and that kind of stuff so they know what direction they're heading and what roles and lanes they need to stay in. We have 3 experienced, qualified individuals, each with a niche that is very critical and very important to the county. And so my thought is I would like to continue the motion that we did last month, but we didn't have Al's retirement at that point. Now we do. So my suggestion would be that you and I go out and make a definition of responsibilities until the full commission decides to go in another direction, I guess.
Okay, and I know that was the motion that was made. What I'm looking at also is if we put additional responsibilities onto individuals, we also got to look at additional compensation sometimes. A lot of people don't want to do additional stuff for free. And then also look at those job responsibilities as well to make sure that their current job scope is what they're doing. So that we don't put somebody in a place where down the road we make a change and where if we have to take compensation away because of that change, and that, we're gonna make somebody upset, so I like the structure that we had. I followed Dunn County a little bit. Dunn County they were a little top heavy in their road department. They had a supervisor for this, a supervisor for that. They're trying to cut it down and make it more lean so that they don't have guys sitting in the office when they should be out in their workspace working. Out in the county working or in the shop working and not sitting in an office setting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, and others should chime in, I just think we have the ability to kind of take advantage of experience and expertise in certain categories. I think that what we passed last month, we can make work, and I'd just like to see us continue that for a period of time until we decide it's either not working or we want to take another path. Because it's like you said, the county engineer discussion has come into play. I agree with you. I don't think we have enough because then you need a survey crew and all this other stuff. But if we were given some time to think about how this would work rather than change that, I think long-term it would be in the best interest of the county.
So I think currently what is being done out there, or in the shop, the fuel's being provided. Randy is ordering fuel and doing that. I don't know if anything's really changing of structure-wise. but I would like to still have one individual come and report to the county commission.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a problem. I agree with that. We don't necessarily need three individuals, but coming to the meeting. But when you define the roles, so if we said, for example, Todd is doing the administrative part, I just want to make sure that those administrative duties are spelled out so that, I mean, I look at it like a sports team. You know, we have three captains, and the captains can figure out who's doing what and what they're doing. And then we, as the coach, would provide the leadership and direction on how that works. I think it's worth a try.
And just to give you some feedback, what would your idea of, like, for example, Todd, what would his percentage be in doing the administrative stuff?
Well,
And to be in the field?
Yeah,
and
so
playing, or-
I think there's been a couple of requests where the bills are better defined and coded from the auditor's office. That would be additional responsibility. Anything to do with, you know, getting bid forms, you know, through the business administrative part of it, that's kind of where I'm going. My short version was, as soon as that piece of equipment comes into the shop, it's Randy's call. As soon as it leaves and heads for a road, that's Cody's call. And the administrative, I realize they all three get in equipment and operate it. But then if Lana calls out and says, I don't have my bills done, I have to get my bills and stuff done by next week, that's Todd's responsibility. And he still does the GIS, he still operates a piece of equipment. And that's what, I guess
I don't
that's,
think anything's changing then, right? I mean, is this stuff that's currently been done when Al was in place?
yeah, but let's say a piece of equipment needs work, needs tires. And Cody says it needs, not to pick on anybody, I'm just using an example. Cody says it needs tires, and Randy says, no, we can get another 6 months out of this deal.
Who's ultimately responsible for the budget, though,
I,
in that department, on spend?
We are.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So are we
I would say
gonna
all
spend
three of them play a role in planning and preparing a budget.
Okay, and that would be, I would assume, consistent with what they've done already in the past, right? Somebody would come up to Al and say, hey, we need this. They'd go out and have a discussion and, hey,
Yeah.
we do need new blade tires, let's get them ordered.
Mm-hmm.
But if we put it on to the head of the maintenance to say, you know, I'm gonna make $100,000 worth of changes to stuff, you know, it's in the budget.
Yeah, but
or
it
does
has
he
to come
won't?
through you as the portfolio holder and ultimately to us. I don't think there's ever been abuse of spending money
No, I agree.
where we've,
I agree.
you know, I mean, we've had great leadership in that role. I'm just saying, we're changing leadership, and so I think it is only fair to those three individuals that we as a board define that leadership and
I'd
those
like some
responsibilities.
feedback from the other guys as well,
Yep.
the other commissioners, your guys' thoughts. So,
So you all have your responsibilities, but it still comes down, basically, somebody's gonna be on the chopping block. I mean, you're not gonna chop all three heads off if something's not going right.
I mean, like you said, the report at the monthly meeting, no brainer. Cody,
Right.
come in. If you look in the county book and we have to register a name with the state, you know, the county road leader or department head, that can be Cody. I'm just going, I'm trying to define the responsibilities because there has been questions on how this, you know, it was a quick, short-term answer where we decided we didn't want to go any further with the applicants and fill that position, at least right now. And I think those gentlemen are just trying to get this clarified.
Well,
and
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are, yeah, so.
Go, if you want to talk, Cody, get up to the microphone.
So I think what would help just for the community, for them to go to. So if the community has an issue, come to me, for now, until we figure out. But I think that would help anyways for, you know, don't call. If they call Randy or whatever, Randy, come to me and then we'll go from there. But
Yeah.
that's all I got really.
There's gotta be a face to it. I
Yeah,
think.
okay, there's gotta be
Yep.
a name, so.
Yep.
Well, my concern is, well, we know, Todd's been in that administrative role for quite
Yes.
some time, right? He's good at that.
Very
And
excellent.
On top of coding bills and whatnot, he also takes, I think does he participate in like timekeeping, right? You
Yep,
help a
he
lot
does
of
all the
guys
time,
with
yep.
timekeeping, you know, and so he can maybe even probably moving further, monitoring timekeeping, you know. because there needs to be some oversight on that as well. But like I said, the risk is, and you all have your strong suits, but, if you put someone that's got a strong suit in operations and all of a sudden he's supposed to be an administrator and he fails there, whose fault is that? Is that our fault?
Yep.
Or is it his fault? I mean, like I said, and so we've got this luxury of having three guys that are, well-versed in their areas of expertise. I'd like to see, if we could work out some sort of, I agree there needs to be some leadership, maybe heaped on one person, like a face. You want a face of the thing, that's fine. But like I said, I mean, to heap all the administrative and all the shop decisions on, for instance, Cody right away. I think
I
that
wasn't
we,
suggesting
I don't-
I
yeah.
think you set Cody up to fail.
Yeah, and I agree
That's
with-
our fault if we do that.
I agree with you on this, and what I've said several times is, even 2 weeks ago on Thursday, when we all sat down, I said, nothing's changing, right? I said, everybody still has their same roles and responsibilities. And nothing, it sounds like currently what you're suggesting is the same thing as I'm suggesting, is that we continue, I mean, they're still gonna do the same things they've been doing. And nothing's changing.
See, and there's a
So-
little bit of confusion in the shop as far as the guys. They'll be texting Todd saying he's not gonna be here. Well, I already got the guys lined up to do something. I don't know about it till the morning of. I already have plans. That guy's not coming. They should come to me for that.
There's gonna be growing pains.
There will
under
be,
this.
and we
Yeah,
can figure this out.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, we're fortunate that we have the three individuals that we do who have the experience. I'd love to know the total years of experience of what's going on. And I guess what I'm asking for is an extension of Commissioner Franchuk's motion from last month to make this, you can call it three-headed monster, or whatever provision, permanent until changed because it was temporary, and that we figure it out, and I'd gladly visit with Corey and the guys, and just say, okay, give me an example where there would be a conflict, or, not a conflict, but like you mentioned, confusion, and we'll tell you whose responsibility that is.
I think that'd help.
I do too.
Hey, we actually sort of have to give direction
Yes.
as a leadership.
Right, we're paying the bills, but.
Well, I would say another add there is like, this commission can take an even more active role collectively here in as far as the direction going forward, and projects that we're gonna do and so on and so forth. I mean, so.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't mind going off of his motion Commissioner Franchuk's motion last month, but I do want to put a little caveat in there of some sort where it says, we need to revisit it by this date, because I don't want to just continue on without a clear defined structure and roles. So, because that leaves every department, I don't care who you work for, up in arms, and it's my responsibility. No, it's not. And it does create rift, whether you think it will or not.
So here's my suggestion is we do this at least through budgeting, and then by budgeting, we're gonna have pretty good feel as to how this works, because we're going into our busy time of year with the road department, and at budget, then we can say, okay, we need to do this, or we need to do this, and whether it is then appoint a permanent road, scenario and replace Al, or we continue and tweak the arrangement we're currently doing. I think that would
The
work.
budgeting time would be June.
Starting July is kind of what I'm doing, because now we have April, May, June, we'd have at least 3 to 4 months of this moving forward.
So, and to you, Cody, if you got guys that you need and you're planning work for them in the week and they're circumventing you, going around you, I don't know if they are or not. I mean, that can be considered insubordination of somebody too. So
Yep.
they have to be ready, and it's my understanding that this has happened before with this individual.
Yep,
Okay,
we can deal with it.
all right.
Okay,
How about the rest of you guys? You guys good? We need you need direction as well.
yes, I think that's what they're asking for. Yeah, so. And I think that's natural, we need to do that, so I would entertain a motion to take the temporary, I'm trying to find my minutes.
Or do we have to make a change? There was a motion.
Well,
I'd say
there
the
was a
motion was interim, I guess, and
Yeah, so we're just extending the intern, then we're fine?
I think so. I think it's
Do we have a
motion's
deadline on
fine.
it?
And in favor of the individuals from the Todd and Randy and Cody, I would side with them. You know, they want some clarification, they want some guidance. We haven't given it to them.
Right.
It's gonna make it, you know, it could potentially make it, you know, where we lose individuals in a place that doesn't have structure or structured leadership, and they go to another county or they go to another road contractor or.
I guess that one thing I would encourage here is we don't have three individuals. We have to look at it like you don't have three individuals here. There has to be some collaboration amongst the three of you. And I don't know if what that means is if you're meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning for a cup of coffee and get the day lined out amongst you and hash out your differences in behind closed doors as a management team and figure it out, you know, and walk out of that meeting with some sort of a unified message, you know, because like I said, I mean, I hate to say this, people are really childish about things. If they know they can, you know, they're always going to go to the person they're going to want to get the right answer from, right? And so, like I said, if you guys can provide a unified front as three people, I think that would be really, really helpful. Do your very best with that. That's my only point.
Okay?
Communication.
Yeah,
Yep.
but just know that you guys are the management team, you know, and first and foremost, if it's gonna be a solid message, it's gonna come unified from the three of you. Come on up, Todd.
The thing that comes to my mind is, we're not only just us three, we have another road foreman that's over in Richardson as well. And I also oversee the Belfield shop, so are we continuing, my question to you guys is, do you wanna continue, with a road foreman located in Richardson and Cody take care of the Dickinson and me still take care of Belfield as that area, because the public is gonna wanna come and say, who do I talk to?
That's right.
So I just,
At the end of the day,
that's the
we
thing
s-
that.
serve
comes
the
up.
public, right?
Right,
So
Yep.
the responsibilities of being in that equipment and operating that equipment comes first and foremost,
right.
I would say.
Yeah. I think if, just pick on Richard, and if how is Mr. Vaughan handling it currently?
I do believe very well.
But I mean, did he, how did he communicate with Al in regard to what he's doing that particular day or week in the Richardson district?
I talk with him every day, and if
Okay.
I need somebody, he sends somebody over, but he usually takes care of it.
Okay. Then
that's.
I think that works.
And you guys all have your discussions every day, right? Has this been going on? I mean, this is nothing new, right? Correct, Randy, or? Okay.
I mean, you guys aren't gonna agree on everything, right? Yeah. Just keep it behind closed doors.
Okay, anything else on that? If not, we will move forward. Okay, next item on the agenda is the section line issue. I don't know what street that is. Cody, 32nd, 4th? 32nd, right? So you have in your packet minutes from our December meeting where we had the section line issue with the fence. We agreed to give the property owners some additional time because it was late in the year and those kind of things to come in compliance. And Mr. Cody was out there this morning, said nothing has been done. And so I guess, looking what our wishes are, I guess at some point we talked about sending him a letter, basically giving a deadline to come in compliance, without which, you know, we'd have to do what we've done on other situations similar to this. So any thoughts, questions?
So it has not been surveyed.
It's been surveyed.
Yeah, it was
He-
surveyed.
he-
Okay.
So it was surveyed, if you remember. He broke the marks off, and then we said we would send Northern Plains back out
Oh, that's right.
and resurvey it.
that's
And
right.
we asked him specifically, will you comply with those markings? He said he would. And now then obviously winter sets in, but we've had an open month. And there at least should have been some communication that
Yes.
I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it.
What, was there an open request on this matter as well?
An open records request?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of them.
And were they resolved or?
Yeah, quite a long
Okay.
time ago.
So we've got an issue, I mean, farming season is coming, and this section line will be used for farming. So time is of the essence to get this
Yep.
figured out, which I suppose we look like the bad guys.
Oh, I'm
but-
sure, yeah.
But you know what? I mean, it is what it is.
I guess my thought would be, let's authorize the state's attorney to send a note. Let's give so many, a certain time frame to come in compliance now that spring is upon us. And without which we'd have to direct the, basically, road department. Cody wants to try out a new piece of equipment anyway about pulling big posts, so, so, any other thoughts?
But that's just a route we have to take now.
Yeah, I agree.
We've done that in the past.
Yep, so can I get a motion to that, and then we should discuss timeline?
I'd make the motion for the state's attorney to send a letter stating I'm not exactly sure what you're gonna send them, but to reach out to this individual formally.
It'll essentially be a final notice to remove their funds.
And what's the time limit we give them to remove it?
I've already sent them a letter with the time limits, and they're well past that, so I think that's up to you at this point on how much leeway you want to get, like a drop dead date. I'd say, 30 days or so.
So if we give a date of May 1st, right, down, they're not down, what actions do we take?
If it's not down?
Road department goes takes it down.
Yeah.
The road department would go out and remove the fence, and then any cost associated with that is charged to the landowner.
And that'd be stated in the letter? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my motion is for the state's attorney to send a formal notice to the landowner.
And then the landowner, if we take it down, landowner is responsible to pay us for our time doing it.
Correct.
Yes.
We
would like
we
to-
went over and above because we actually paid for the survey.
Right.
Typically, we
Yes.
would not extend that courtesy to any other property owner, so,
Yep.
Yeah. So we'd like to have this matter cinched up by May 1st.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
By Commissioner Marsh, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, or those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Another question, and it's too late now because it already passed, but if he would decide he would want to come before the commission and argue his case, there's nothing to argue anymore.
Well, he kind of did that already, so.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, he'll have to work it out with Cody. If we say April 1st, or excuse me, May 1st, and then all of a sudden we get a blizzard on the 20th, we're not that unreasonable where we wouldn't grant some additional time
Right.
to do that.
So would we have to have a special meeting to, if he doesn't comply, to approve of that being taken down and the cost associated with it?
I think our motion just said that.
We should have an answer by May 1st. I mean, our meeting.
And we'll have a meeting right after that anyway,
Yeah.
so.
So we should be okay to address it then.
Yeah.
Cody?
So those fence posts are this big. I think the easiest way is probably a chain and pull it with the Traco. I mean, if I nick them up a little bit, I mean, there's gonna be some nicks.
Yeah.
Do the best I can, but,
Yeah,
so we shouldn't have to worry about anything there.
Is this just on one section line, right? If I
it's
remember.
actually both section lines.
It's a
Corner,
lot.
both going north and south and east and west.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I remember the picture of it, so,
Okay, I took one this morning. Yeah, there's 100
but
or
nothing
better.
has changed.
No, they haven't tried.
Okay.
Just make sure you're tracking, manpower hours, equipment hours, the whole 9 yards, so we have a really good idea what we're dealing with.
Okay, thank you for that. We've got a couple things here we can take care of before the 10 o'clock notice. When did you tell Ryan, is he going to call in or we just do it?
I think he was gonna be on Zoom. I told him after 10, but the jail is here as well.
Okay, so why don't we take care of that one too? Who's going to speak on that behalf? Okay. Morning, thank you.
Morning.
I have a PowerPoint that I printed for you guys, if that's okay if I hand it out.
Sure.
So I'm Allison Wanner. I'm the clinical director of the community treatment program that is a branch of the county jail. And this is Kelly. She's the program director at the county jail here. And what we're doing is we're requesting funds from the opioid settlement money that Stark County does have currently to help with providing Sublocade injections for inmates at the county jail. Currently, right now, the jail provides Sublocade injections with a contract with the DOCR, only for our DOCR inmates. Our county inmates, however, they don't have that access, and those injections for Sublocade, which is a medication that is a once-a-month injection that will reduce your cravings for opiates, and it helps prevent relapses. So it will reduce, essentially, addiction, hopefully a little bit in our community. But those injections are $2,800. And when you are incarcerated, you don't have insurance. And currently, right now, the SUD voucher through the state only pays for methadone. It does not pay for Sublocade. So we are here to request funds from the opioid settlement money so we could start a shelf life inventory of 5 injections that we could start until hopefully the SUD voucher catches up and it starts providing funds for the Sublocade injection, where the state then would pay for it.
What's,
Yeah.
hi, Ellie.
Hi, Bob.
Thanks for coming. Timing, I know we've been waiting to find out if the state was gonna cover through the SED voucher, right?
Correct.
And we don't know exactly timing on that, or are we getting
Well,
some ideas?
We were told originally it would be in December of last year. And then now obviously legislature's going on and everybody's budgets is being talked about. So I did email James Knopick and Amy Lease through the Behavioral Health Division, and they said that they won't have an answer for that until legislature is done. There was look at cutting funds for the SUD voucher, but I do believe that bill was not approved, so the funds for that did not get cut, which is a really good thing because we utilize that SUD voucher for a lot of our treatment that we provide. Yeah.
So my position at the jail is a shared position with the prison as well. And so I run the medicated assisted treatment program with our medical department down there. And so we've seen really good outcomes from Sublocade. There's also methadone and other measures, but in our remote area, we've had better outcomes with that because, you know, methadone is dosed daily. And so it's a barrier to get people if you're in South Hart and you have to go all the way to somewhere else. Right now, it's not currently offered at all, but this was the best alternative for that. So we modeled our program that we want to set up, much like we do the rest of the Department of Corrections. So they would have the same, our policies and our practices are all already set up down in New England. And we just want to continue that for our local county people, hopefully treat the issue and avoid, you know, prison incarcerations altogether.
So would this, once they were released from county jail and they actually were in this program, they can actually get it from the community program as well following?
Yeah, so they can come and follow up with us. What our plan is, and it is outlined on 10, it is our process for what we would do for the individuals that would need this injection, is they have to have a evaluation completed to determine if they have an opiate use disorder, in which my program would come into play, where we would come in and complete the evaluation while they're incarcerated. If they do meet criteria for that, we would put them through treatment. If they are approved for work release, where they would come up to the old hospital and complete either the aftercare or 2.1 treatment with me. And then upon their release from incarceration, their last month is when they would get their dose. We only want to give them the first dose because they are so expensive. What they can do is then we do have an MOU with Coal Country Health, in which I can get them into Coal Country Health to continue their Sublocade injections, and the company will actually give them the 2 free doses once they release from incarceration afterwards. By that time, we'll have them set up for Medicaid and Medicaid expansion, in which those 2 programs pay 100% of the Sublocade injection.
So is the, in here somewhere, you say the dose is 1 time a day for 28 days. Is that one dose or is one dose for 1 day?
1 month.
1 month?
Yep, so it's 1 injection a month. And
Oh,
so,
okay, I thought it said daily for 28 days or something.
no, it's 1 dose a month, and
Got
what's
it.
nice with the injection is that
Every
it can't be abused. We do see sometimes methadone does get abused. We do see sometimes Suboxone, which is the same form of medication as Sublocade, but it's in pill or like Listerine strip forms. Those can get abused, and people can get high off of that. This injection, they get once a month. You can't abuse it. I've seen in my practice since being in the community program, I've referred quite a few people to Cold Country Health, and their recovery and their addiction has immensely improved. We drive them to Beulah, and Richardson, or Killdeer if they have to go there. We will provide those services too, to ensure that they do continue to get their injections, and they do follow up with us. They continue to be part of our program.
So we're administrating this currently?
So only for the DOCR inmates. We have a contract with the DOCR at the county jail where they can get their injections for free. But when I have my clients that are county inmates, they have to fork up about $2,800 to get that injection. So no, we are not.
Is this a self-injection, have to go through a needle? What is it?
Our medical provider will provide it.
Okay. What's the success rate of using something like this? And how long is a normal individual on treatment with this for?
And that varies. It's up to the individual for how long they do stay on it. Sometimes they just stay on it while they're in treatment so they can get the coping skills. And sometimes people stay on it for years because it does reduce your cravings. So it blocks the opioid receptors in your brain. So you physically cannot get high if you do take an opiate. And then it reduces all the cravings for it as well.
So on
And-
page 16, it kind of goes through, the longer that you're involved, like after a year, you're 14 more times likely to be successful, stay sober, and all of the, we have a lot of statistics and outcomes on page.
So just for opioids is what it's for, right?
Correct.
It's
It is only for opiates.
not alcoholism or,
So when,
There's other injections for that.
is
but
it, and the methadone is used for,
Opiates.
okay.
when they get out and they need, is it covered by the insurance then after that?
Yep, so the company will, what we do is, I have a referral form. We met with the Sublocade, what is it? I think it's like Invigor.
Manufacturer, yeah.
We actually met with the manufacturers, and what they do is I have a referral form that I would fill out with the inmate prior to their release, send it to the company. They will get approved for 2 free injections when they are released. And then that gives us a 2 months window to make sure that their Medicaid and Medicaid expansion will be set up. We do that as well. We'll complete those applications with them. We already do. Then Medicaid, insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, they cover it 100%.
So as they transition from incarceration, they'll have 3 months covered,
Yes.
and then be involved in programming
So
as well.
opioids are an addiction. Is this an addiction?
Sublocade, the injection, you can't abuse it. So I would say no.
Okay.
My opinion is the pill form can become a cross addiction. That's why we're really pushing for the injectable.
What's the pill form?
Suboxone.
What's the
Oh, the
cost
cost?
On a pill
I have
form.
no idea. It's cheap though.
compared to the shot?
That's a daily dose.
And that is a daily dose, and that's up to the client to administer it themselves. So
Okay.
if they want to take 3 pills that day to get high, they can. It's not controlled like the injection. On 16, it does say that in a study over 12 months, so where the client would get a total of 12 injections, there is 75.3% likely to remain sober for that whole year from opiates. So we know we're in an opioid epidemic. They're getting stronger. I did just get a notice from the DEA through the DOCR about even a new medication that's on the streets that's a lot more stronger than fentanyl that is on our streets already. I can't remember the name. It starts with an N. So the drugs are getting smarter and harder. So we have to find a way to stop it. We are trying our best with treatment. We're trying our best with all this stuff, but sometimes people need that extra medication to help curb it, just like somebody does with depression. They might need extra medications for that.
And I would remind the commission that we have those funds under the opioid settlement that have to be used for opioid remediation. And so a medically assisted treatment, which is what this is,
Right.
would be considered opioid remediation.
So how much are you asking for?
We are asking on page 17, I have the exact amount. Out of the money, we're asking for $10,082.60. So that would cover 5 injections that we could start with in hopes in that time period, the SUD voucher will have kicked in, and now we can use the SUD voucher money to pay for the injections. This will get us our kickstart shelf life so we can purchase 5 doses.
Chairman,
Yes,
I'm right here.
he was echoing.
So you want,
I have a question for you guys, but I'm gonna get turned around to Public. I'm very supportive of this program. I had a front row to addiction my entire life, so, with a family member, so I get it, very well. I've been going to Heartview once a month and visiting with those groups, not only, to build a bridge with law enforcement, but to kind of get some knowledge and education on this as well. People that are taking these shots or methadone or anything like that want to get better. It's not a pleasant experience to take these substances necessarily. So typically they are, way more often than not, trying to take the steps to get better. So very supportive. I know some law enforcement area doesn't support this program. I think it's a wonderful, amazing thing. My question for you guys is there any way that someone, I'm hoping we're not giving breaks to people for taking this. I don't want someone to take advantage of it, say, hey, I'm doing this now.
Yeah, so obviously if they do have an evaluation, they have to have an evaluation in the jail. Part of the requirements is they have to do the treatment. Even when we transition them to Coal Country Health to do their follow-up care, Coal Country Health says you have to complete your recommended treatment, otherwise you don't get this injection anymore. So they are held to an accountability status where if you don't do therapy, you don't get the injection anymore, so we will not help you. So they have to start that process when they are incarcerated with our facility, with the community treatment program, otherwise they will not be eligible. They can't just be sitting in the jail doing dead time and nothing, and then we're gonna provide it to them. They have to show us that they want it, does that answer it?
And it's completely voluntary. So like you said, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're not ready or you're not in a place, we want to target the people that are willing to help themselves as well.
But do they want it just because it's gonna take time off on the other end of something, so that, isn't that what you were trying?
Oh, yeah, no, they
That's what I
get,
would-
no,
that's
they
what I was
get
thinking,
nothing
Matt,
out of
yes.
it except for sobriety. That's all. No, we don't like give them good time or take time off or be like, oh, this affects their probation.
Yeah, we're not looking at any of that.
No, all they're getting is sobriety and the help that they need.
so this here, is this in, aftercare treatment? Is that what it's called? That they're going through Coal Country through, or is that
They do the
inpatient?
treatment with me. They do the medical injections with Coal Country. So yes, they can do aftercare, but they can also do 2.1 intensive outpatient, which is 9 hours a week. So whichever they are required or recommended to do by the LEC, they have to do it, and through the jail, they would go through me.
And only after they're done with incarceration or anything, they get their first shot,
They would get the first shot the 1 month prior to their release.
1 month prior to their release.
Yep, during that one last month. So we're not gonna give like one inmate 5 shots when they're incarcerated for 5 months. We're gonna target right when they're released, so then they can get the follow-up care for free. So we're only gonna
Okay.
be giving 1 injection.
And that 2 free doses with the manufacturer. So we'll get them set up for the first 3 months.
Is the cost to you guys for the dose $2,800 a piece? So
Yeah,
at
so-
5 doses, that's 14,000, right? Not $10,082.
Where is the cost? So our medical provider, Saida, she is out sick, so she was the one that did the research on the dose. So when she gave me the information, she said 1 shot is approximately $2,016.52.
Okay, 2016.
Yep. So, and that varies between that to 2,800. So if one without insurance, if they don't have insurance, it would cost them like about $24,000 without insurance for 12 doses.
So if I took the 12 doses for approximately, that's, $30,000 worth of medication in 1 year.
Correct.
To have a 75% chance of success.
Well, at the end of the day, though, that's what we're hoping for, right? Is to get these people sober and to make sure they're not having any cravings and reintegrate them back into society, so that when they have this kind of step down period of the last month in jail and then the 2 months of sobriety with the with the Sublocade and the evaluations and the treatment, that we're easing them back into society. Like, we're trying to make sure that they're not just immediately getting out and
Read
we have,
about
it.
and reusing. And the Sublocade is good for 30 days. So the thing with like methadone and Suboxone is that it's a daily pill. So even if you're out of jail, it's tough. I mean, I fully support these programs. I mean, I think that they're great. But if you're trying to work a job where maybe you're out of town or whatever it is, you have to figure out a way to come in every single day or to wherever the place is to take your daily Suboxone or take your daily methadone. This is a way for them to essentially have 28 to 30 days of sobriety, still focusing on their sobriety, but getting them back into society.
And the 24,000 a year is, we would help them with the first 3 months. So that 1 month in the jail and then 2 months from the manufacturer. And at that point, because you're not set up with we cannot do Medicaid or whatever when they're incarcerated, we would get them involved. That's what the program
That's
does.
what
So
we
they
will
wouldn't
do.
be paying 24,000.
That's my question is, to be successful, you have to be able to afford it. It's got, you
Yep.
know, and so,
Yep, and so at the community program, I don't know if many of you know what the community treatment program is, but it is a program that is a branch of the county jail. We're at the old hospital, and we provide treatment services, individual therapy, some trauma therapy. We do case management, care coordination. We set them up with Medicaid expansion. We help them with housing. We're kind of like a full-on treatment center up there. And so we will ensure that they do get the insurance so that once after their free doses, they will be set up so they can continue it.
okay, you want them to be successful.
Yes, yeah, we won't leave a rock unturned. We'll make sure that everything's taken care of for them.
So in a sense, we're starting a pilot program. We're gonna fund it initially we'd like to fund it initially with these opioid settlement funds, but in the hopes that the SED voucher is gonna cover these folks, even if
Yep.
they're not DOCR folks,
Yeah.
regular county folks.
Yep, and you know, on the counseling side, for me, it's sometimes disheartening when I do have a work release jail inmate that's coming to me because they know one of my DOCR guys gets the Sublocade injection when they're released. And they ask me, hey, can you get me set up for this? I have to tell them, well, do you have $2,000? Because I can't. Like, it is really disheartening when I have people that are coming up to me asking me for this help, and I physically can't do that until they're released.
And it is a pilot program, but it's certainly modeled off the DOCR. And so with the outcomes and good things we've been seeing happening on that side, just making it available before they get.
So on their website, they say that for 300 milligram and 100 milligram dosage is, without insurance, is $2,117.34 per month. And so, obviously, what do you do to help them continue for the next 8 months or 9 months to get that shot? Because the one in-house,
Yep.
2 afterwards.
Yep. Then they will have insurance by then.
They help them get insurance.
Get them on Medicaid.
They'll get them on
Medicaid?
insurance.
or
Yep,
their own
Medicaid expansion.
Is everybody eligible to get on Medicaid?
So, nope, not everybody, but what I do is I work with ND Navigators, Nicole Thompson, and it is through Minot University. She is basically on call for me, and if a client does not meet criteria for expansion or Medicaid, what she does is she comes down, meets with them, and completes an application for whatever kind of insurance like private insurance, they can afford with what they are making. We've had some clients that jobs don't provide the insurance, but they're making good money, so they don't meet criteria for expansion or Medicaid. So what Nicole will do is she's like kind of like a insurance agent, and will sell them whatever private insurance they can afford. And so Nicole will come down, get them set up for us, because I don't know how to do those other applications.
Yeah, and
If that makes sense.
and the other question I have, the concern is with the cost of that drug. I know, we know about addicts, they're good, right? They'll get on a program, they do well, they fall off, right? And are they eligible to get back on under this?
Yeah.
So a lot of our clients, they, start out in jail or that they end up in jail and then we wrap these services around. So some of them are involved with Free Through Recovery or other agencies that when they're finished with their incarceration, they still, even finished with treatment, they're still
Yeah.
involved with us. So we have the community program has a contract with parole and probation, and other entities. And so these people aren't just falling off. We're continuing to support them, not maybe directly through treatment, or intensive outpatient treatment, but
If they are involved in treatment, so like if they are recommended treatment, my 2.1 IOP that they will have to attend is 8 weeks long. So I'll for sure have them there for 8 weeks, 4 days a week. And then after that, they get referred to aftercare, which is at minimum 10 weeks. So I will for sure have them in my care for 18 weeks, whether part of it's while they're incarcerated or when they're out. Most of them do get out on probation, so it is mandatory that they come to us anyways. So I have about probably, I would say 98% of them for at least 18 weeks under my own care, where we will provide the rides, we'll provide all this treatment services.
Well, the nice part about the Sublocade is the fall off is pretty minimal. I mean, they don't have the cravings versus the other two options. You know,
Yeah.
you can miss a dose, or you can even abuse those doses, right? I mean, this is supposed to cut that
Yep.
craving out. And
Yep, and the withdrawals from the Sublocade injection is very minimal compared to methadone. Methadone, there's studies out there that show that methadone withdrawals, if you even miss one dose, can be worse than actual fentanyl withdrawals. So they get pretty sick. Same with the pill form, like the Suboxone. With the Sublocade, your body, it builds up in your body. So almost like once it starts wearing off and it gets to the 28 days, your body, it just kind of weans itself off. So the withdrawals from the Sublocade is much more minimal.
And how long's this drug been around? Long time?
Well, I can get you that answer.
we've had this program set up with the DOCR for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It's been around longer than that, but.
I can get you that information if you want for how long that it's been around for a hot minute, I can tell you that.
And you're seeking funding for 5 doses?
For 5, yes, so that would cover 5 inmates. So because they would only get the 1 dose prior to the release. So we're hoping that in the period time of, because not everybody has an opiate use disorder, right? And not everybody's going to be approved for work release, and not everybody's going to be recommended treatment. You have to fit the criteria to be able to get the medication when you are incarcerated for that first dose.
What's the shelf life of the dose?
What did Saida say? It's a lot longer now.
Yeah.
Like it's between 1 year and 2 years. She got that information. Like I said, she's not here to help us. She's sick. But it is a lot longer than what it used to be. I do remember having that conversation with her.
And we would for sure go through those doses and, okay.
oh, there's no shortage of patients.
Yeah, no. I since we started this program at the community treatment program, I've been real busy with treatment and therapy and evaluations.
So is 5 enough?
We're startup.
Well,
We'll come back if we
We'll
have
come
great
back if we
outcomes
need
and we'll ask
more.
for more. But we are hoping, we do see in the future, we've been working with the Division of Behavioral Health to see when they're going to get this off the ground.
Yeah.
on
Well,
their
and
end.
again, at the end of the day, we have these funds that are dedicated specifically for this kind of use. So they're not coming and asking for a general fund, request. Like we've got funds that we got that are to be used specifically for opioid remediation.
We're hoping in the meantime, Sud voucher will catch up and then cover Sublocade. So, and that is, the jail inmates get approved for that all the time,
Okay.
so.
So it's $10,082 and what was it, 60 cents?
Yes, is what we are requesting.
That's approximate, or do you want for 5 doses, I guess, is what. So, you don't know that's exact figure, so I guess.
Yeah, she
The motion
requested that
probably
exact
should be 5
amount, so,
doses, yeah.
well, she said approximately, though.
And we could round, if you want to just round it to like about 10,000, so we can get some shelf, is what we're requesting so that we, can start this pilot program. Sud voucher comes in, kicks in, and now we can use the state funds through the Sud voucher, and they will pay the cost of the Sublocade injection. And so we can catch these few people, these individuals, that may need this help until the state program is able to catch up with it. Unfortunately, with legislature going on right now, that's kind of all in. We're waiting.
Or we can go off their price on their website too. it'll come out to 10,586.
I think what Dean was asking was if
Well,
we just make
Why don't
the,
we just make the motion for 5 doses and then
5
pay for
doses?
that and
Oh,
go
yeah.
for that?
Yeah, just provide the invoice to Karen and we can go from there. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Look for a motion, if not,
I'll make that motion to approve the amount for 5 doses.
would you specify out of the opioid?
The opioid
fund,
funds,
Settlement
yes.
fund? Yeah.
Settlement, yes.
okay, by Commissioner Franchuk, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Franchuk?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, it is now 10:10 a.m. We will start our abatement hearing scheduled for 10 o'clock. I see Paulette is here somewhere.
Yeah, she's sitting in the corner.
Yeah. Do you want to come forth? I don't know if we,
And Bernie, I know you're not going to, but I'll just advise you not to vote on this.
Right. I'll keep my mouth shut until after the vote.
good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Want to give us a little history on the background for the request?
Well, we had a property and there was a fire in the house or whatever, and we haven't yet made the house so that it is a rental. So we are asking for help on the tax property situation.
Okay. So, yeah, so I mean, I think the application is fairly self-explanatory. The fire was in March 2023. You paid the full 2023 property tax bill as issued. You've
Yes, we
paid the
did.
full 2024 property tax bill
Yes, we did.
as issued. And you are requesting the 2024 tax to be abated.
Please.
I thought we were asking 23 and 24.
23
2
and
years.
2024?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Both applications.
Oh, there's two separate. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Sorry.
I take it that the West went through the city and they granted it because the rating is pretty unreadable. It was granted in the city, right?
The city granted it, yes.
I guess I mean, this is, you're obviously entitled to this. Statute's pretty clear. I'm just wondering why the city didn't reach out to you when the structure was made uninhabitable.
That I can't tell
I
you.
mean, that's I know at the county level, our assessor would do that.
Okay.
Whether it's a tornado, I'm familiar with the situation out in the West Industrial Park when the explosion of those oil trucks, hot oil trucks were. I mean, that was immediate. They were out there immediately and
Well, we didn't know anything about it
yeah,
until it was brought
I'm
to
not,
our attention.
right. I'm not throwing stone. I'm
And
just
that
saying this.
explosion was heard 3 counties away
Yeah.
also, so you couldn't hide it.
Yeah, but I'm just going, that was immediate. Our assessor did that immediately, and here we're over 2 years later, and you had to initiate the process, so, yeah. Any other questions, comments?
So I'd make the motion to approve the request for 23-24 in line with what the city did.
Okay, do you want 2 motions or 1 motion? I think we can lump them together, can't we?
So is this the value that's being assigned,
Yes,
the 80,000?
That's what it's being
Yes,
assigned as.
yeah.
Is that 80,
basically the lot and the little structure that's back there.
it's 80,400, is that the rate?
So you were resetting the value?
Yeah, did they put it, you will do the calculation on the abatement,
Yeah,
right?
I get to do all this.
Okay. So I guess the question is 1 motion or 2? I hear no objection to combining them into 1. So we have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
By Commissioner Claris. Who made the first?
Corey.
Commissioner White.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Franchuk, or Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
I abstain.
And the chair votes aye.
I'll vote.
You want to vote?
Yeah, I'll vote too.
Okay, we'll grant that exemption. Commissioner Franchuk?
Yes.
Okay, didn't have my donut, so again, we're kind of struggling. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay,
Then
so
Neil,
we'll,
Ryan is on Zoom.
right now? Okay, so let's do the Vision Zero request. I don't know if Ryan needs to do the presentation, but he's here to answer any questions. I don't know, I can do it. Amanda, you want to do it? Unless Ryan wants to do it.
Is Ryan on?
I can do it if you guys want me to.
Go ahead, you're the man in charge, so.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Ryan Gellner from the North Dakota Association of Counties. We have a program that has been going for a number of years, the Vision Zero Outreach Program. It started with me 15 years ago. In the last 4 years, we've started adding coordinators throughout the state of North Dakota. We currently have coordinators, a coordinator in Ward County, a coordinator in Burley County, a coordinator in Grand Forks County, Cass County, and as of about 6-8 months ago, we added a coordinator in Stutzman County. So we're covered across the state, but DOT, who the contract is through, would like to add a coordinator in your region. Right now, your region is covered by our coordinator from Burley County. Her name is Teresa. But we would like to add a coordinator position in Stark County, housed by you guys. And the program really is about decreasing the number of people killed in motor vehicle crashes across the state, but certainly in that region. Our coordinators have done a wonderful job of getting out into communities, have done a wonderful job of getting up and down their corridors. The proposal to you guys would be an 11 county area that this coordinator would focus on. They would be housed in Stark County and then would deliver all of the programs throughout that region. I have a map. I don't know if I'm able to share this or not. Is that up on your screen? No, it's still me. All right. So there's the map as we sit now. And then the proposed map is there. And so we're talking about the orange region of North Dakota, which we would call our Western Vision Zero Outreach Region.
Can you put that first map up really quick?
Absolutely. Yep, sorry about that.
I want to see how that, okay, I see how that split it in half then. It just, okay, thank you.
Yep. So there's how we are now. The little white stars designate the coordinators and the counties that they are housed by. And then the proposed map. And then that would turn the city of Dickinson white as well, housed by Stark County. So our coordinators do everything from engagement to outreach. We work a lot with schools. We work with data. They do a lot of professional development. But ultimately, the ask here today is to partner with the county and with Amanda to oversee the program within the county. I would oversee the program as a whole from the North Dakota Association of Counties. These are federal funds. The federal funds come through the Department of Transportation. They go into the North Dakota Association of Counties, and then we distribute them back out to the host county. This position would be a full-time position. It would be a county level position, so they would follow county rules. They would receive full benefits. They would receive everything any additional county employee would receive. And all of that is reimbursed then through that federal fund, which is National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, through the DOT, ultimately through the North Dakota Association of Counties. So Angie from my office at the Association of Counties works with the point person from the county. In this case would be Amanda. And Amanda and the coordinator would submit a monthly reimbursement voucher, which would include everything from their salary, their benefits, some of those things, cell phone, computer, all of those things. Amanda would submit that, and then the Association of Counties would reimburse on a monthly basis those back to the county. There is, of course, some in-kind that is asked of the county, which is first and foremost office space. We cannot, through federal funds, we cannot rent an office, we cannot buy a chair, any of those things, but we can supplement the employee with the things that they need. So that's the ask. I've worked in the background with Amanda quite a bit. I think she's comfortable, but you can certainly ask any questions of her or of me, and I'll shut this map off so you can get my beautiful face again, or at least I'll attempt to.
So, Ryan, I guess the question for clarification that we've talked about previously, what happens when the grant from the feds expires? Are we obligated to continue that position and fund it internally?
You are not obligated at that point. Let's see. I don't know if I stopped sharing or not, but I'm gonna get ahead. We don't anticipate, obviously, the grant closing at all. The grant, this particular pot of money, I think this is year 29 on this grant money. So we feel really confident. It's the same grant money that I've worked on for the last 17 years. And it feels pretty good, but other counties have asked that exact same question. No, there is absolutely no obligation to continue the program if something should happen to grant funding.
This salary is set by the feds then?
So we would set the initial salary, which I'm thinking 70,000, potentially 72,000, but then it would be a county job. So if the county does step raises or however you do raises, that is what this raise would be. So if you do 6%, then this person would receive a 6% raise on the fiscal.
And
Yes, we would set the initial salary.
and I just want to clarify, everything is reimbursed minus the office space, and then a few of like the office, like an office chair, right? But you would reimburse for technology, like cell phone bills, things like that. Yeah.
Yep. And whiteboards, really anything the employer would use. There's an approval process that would be asked of me. I, of course, approve it before it's purchased, so we don't get in any hangups. But yeah, other than an office chair and a desk and office space, I can pretty much cover everything.
Excuse me, does the Association of Counties, do they advertise for the position and hire this position, or is this something that
I
we
believe the
handle here?
county does in collaboration with Ryan, correct?
Yep, that's correct, Amanda.
Okay. So in the event that
Could
there
be
was
someone
a
from our community, like
Okay.
that, it's invested in the community. Yeah. I mean, potentially. I don't know where you necessarily
I
always.
guess I'm just going in, if there was a vacancy, let's say you're 5 years down the road, we have a vacancy, do we fill that internally here then, or with you, or?
Right, but, and with Ryan's, like I said, input.
Okay. Any other questions of Ryan?
Did you explain why you took it from 5 districts to, what, 6 there?
Probably not well enough. We started with 4, and then DOT realized the work that the coordinators were doing and that our traffic fatalities were coming down, and just the great job the coordinators were doing. So we added the Stutzman County region, and now DOT is saying we need to grow again. These guys do fantastic jobs. One other thing I would add, and I would urge you to reach out to Burleigh County or Ward County. There's a lot of pride that goes back into the host county because these people represent you all. So when they're in Williams County or McKenzie County doing work, they're wearing your county shirt. They represent your county. Their name tag says that they're from your county. And there's a lot of credit that goes back to the county. These coordinators are invited all the time to county fairs, to events, in the schools. It really is a really pure program, And I think you'll get a lot of benefit just from having this person out and about. And they will be out and about quite a bit. There is some travel that is involved for the most part.
How much travel is involved? And who provides the vehicle?
So
Insurance.
a couple of different ways. Yep, a couple of different ways on the vehicle. In some cases, the county provides the vehicle, and then everything is reimbursed back to the county at the state mileage rate. In other cases, a coordinator will have a rental agreement with a rental agency and rent a vehicle. And then the third case, which doesn't happen very often, an employee would take their own vehicle, which would be reimbursed at the mileage rate as well, directly back to the employee. The second part of it, how much travel? I would say in an average week, they are probably out of the office 2 days a week to potentially 3 days a week. Not a lot of overnight travel. A lot of it is day trips, and they'll schedule maybe McKenzie County and Williams County the same day, and then come back that night.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Okay, do we want to take some action on this?
I think, yeah, it's sort of a no-brainer for us to do it.
And I like the idea of it. I just want to get through one thing on the vehicle, which route we want to take. Western North Dakota, we have a lot of oil and gas traffic, a lot of traffic. There is a risk there. That's an average of 173 days of traveling out of the county to other counties. So there is a risk. Obviously, anytime you put somebody behind a wheel, there's a risk.
Yeah, this corridor in particular.
Yeah.
The Highway 85, they're gonna spend a lot
Oh,
of
it's
time on
crazy.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I drive it every day.
yep.
So. But there's broken windshields. I think in the last year I've replaced 3 windshields, so.
Especially once
Yeah,
they
on the-
start
on
working
the-
on that corridor
So.
and doing a bunch of construction, road construction up
Yep.
there and stuff.
We're definitely
Because
a
that'll be the
high-risk
main
region
road
here.
going up, the 85 will be used quite a bit.
But we're reimbursed for that.
Yes.
But
Correct.
potentially it could raise our
Well,
overall rates, right,
yeah.
with accidents or,
And I think
comp
part of
stuff.
that discussion could be with a successful applicant. Do they wish to use their personal vehicle and get reimbursed mileage, or are they expecting us to provide a vehicle? I hate getting in the vehicle business. I mean, that's all of a sudden that vehicle, no one knows about it when all of us are gone, so.
Well, there's a risk of it, right, and how it's maintained and operated.
Yep, so, but, I think that would be, and we've had the vision here twice in the last 2 years.
Yes.
I should have asked Ryan what,
In the
is it,
same respect with the vehicle, though, I mean, if we furnish a vehicle, it can stay here, they drive to work, and they drive the vehicle when they go out, otherwise it's
yeah,
just.
yeah. I don't have any firm thoughts one way or the other. I guess I would ask what the other directors are doing
Right.
in the other 5 districts, and find out and see if that gave us some leeway.
He's still on.
Ryan? Hello?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, so we're talking about the vehicle. What is the other 5 districts doing as far as personal vehicle or county-provided vehicle?
Let's see. Everyone has, I'm just looking at the map. Everyone has a county-provided vehicle.
Okay.
Stutzman County just bought a new truck, under their sheriff's office, that they are taking the, mileage reimbursement on. Everybody else, I think, had an existing vehicle that is being used. Burley County is probably the one, I think Teresa has access to a county vehicle, but it's not available very often, so she rents through the state contract with, I think it's Enterprise.
Okay,
And then Indorf through the county just covers that? Or does Indorf, through your program or through,
On the rental,
on any of them, I guess?
so the rental, the state contract, has the highest amount of insurances that you can get on it, so we don't have to take anything out on that. The insurances, through the county, I need to check on that answer.
But that's provided through Vision Zero, or does the county put that under its umbrella and then you reimburse?
That is under the county's umbrella and then reimbursed.
Okay.
And then we do have a trailer that we tow, so we do have some marine coverage that is also reimbursed as well. And that trailer isn't towed very often, but we have every county take out the marine coverage on it and reimburse that.
Yeah, to address any of the space questions that may come, Mike and I have kind of identified 3 potential spots in the courthouse that would work. And we will, you know, with direction, we'll figure it out. We'll need a little cooperation from the SO in one of them, if that one is ended up being selected, so. Okay,
So what kind of a motion or what do we want to?
I would suggest we make a motion that endorses and accepts the Vision Zero position as described by Ryan.
And that's just,
And we'll work out the details on the space, and we'll work out the details on the vehicle.
I'll make that motion.
Okay?
I'll
By
second.
Commissioner Marsh, by Commissioner Franchuk. Any other discussion? I don't think we need a roll call on that one. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, it's-
Now, when, even though she gets paid by Vision Zero, or she gets paid by us?
gets paid by us and we get reimbursed.
Reimbursed, okay. So she's considered a county employee at that point?
Yes.
Or he or she or whatever?
Yes, right. Okay. All right, we'll take a 10-minute break and then come back with the Dickinson Airport presentation. What they did with me was explosion happened on such and such a date.
I mean, I guess I could prorate it out, but
Because, you know,
But I
for
know
me,
what-
I was renting the building out, so I was getting revenue until the day that it's been dropped. And so, I managed that. Hey, if you could pay the I don't know.
well, wait till you see the next one we have coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I will, but my point is like, but I shouldn't be just jumping all the time. Get your free donut here. Why do we call it a hub? I mean, I hope you just got tips from the guy that you drove around. Yeah, I'm talking about it, but I'll stay.
Mr. Jeff, how we doing, sir?
I am caught up, I'm reading, but, all right, okay, fine. And more days or something. And I dropped the beef felony to an I don't know, she's trying to say that she didn't actually have that heroin, that we actually saw her deliver to the guy in the jail, so. I'm like, Jody, I'll talk 2 cents into her, we'll get it figured out, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, you might as well just sit your quick time and be done and get out of here and go back to Florida, but whatever, not my problem. It is my car. Not my problem. Do what I can. No, I don't. Ryan brought it to my attention a while back, asked if I'd oversee it, and I said I would if we could get it through the commission, and then, we've just kind of been, not slow rolling it, but waiting till Neil got back and brought it in front of the commission, so. Why do you?
And I think it's a straight shot.
Somebody that shows interest, it would be the big thing. Byron wants.
Corey doesn't think so, because he doesn't believe in seatbelts or traffic laws or writing tickets or anything.
But Darcy.
I thought it was.
Just took a position.
So can you stick around after the meeting? We'll do a survey.
In trouble for now.
And your parking spots. I mean, if you guys are gonna, you might as well make them walk across the parking lot. That would be minimum request. Hey, where's my money, by the way?
I'll strip a truck.
Okay. I don't wanna own vehicles.
Then we wore glasses.
I don't want to own vehicles. But here's the deal, we have trucks, vehicles floating around. You don't want to say, oh, I'm gonna give it to emergency management. No documentation, no nothing. And then when something happens, they go, oh yeah, well, we got this old vehicle over. Oh, how'd you get that? No one knows. So I don't know what, to me, it's pretty loose because, you know, the costs, so we can We could put it out at, they probably wouldn't approve it, but you could put it out at 80 grand, because that's what Cass County wanted.
Actually,
You know, so it's,
Which is fine.
yeah.
Talking about pulling a trailer on out.
Yes, I agree. And not that I'm opposed to it, I'm just going to and what, I don't know what the protocol is for getting a vehicle from the state pool. That must be one day at a time, I would suspect. Right.
That's what I said, we talked about, you know, be good.
They could have a vehicle here at the state pool up at the DOT, and then that individual could just grab it from there. But those are the questions I have.
so then we'll have to put together, they're gonna give us a job description, and we're gonna put together the
Yep.
application.
Yep.
Gonna do the driving test with somebody but they have to tow something, we gotta make sure they be able to back it up and tow it. Huh?
Why?
Made her come here today.
Well, we didn't go to the city, the city passed it without anything. I says, really, I want you here and get some questions, but it should just get, you know, straight through.
She did fine.
No. And she's giving me this, when she walked up there, like, why am I here talking?
She did fine.
I think Commissioner Marsh should have prepared me a little bit better. I said, you're looking good as always, I'm trying to make a submission for it.
She said she couldn't believe she fell for that trick that you pulled on her the other night.
What'd you do?
Kissed her.
Oh, yeah. She leaned in. What day was I down there? Friday night?
Yeah. Yep. Heroes Ball this weekend, you going to that? Marley and I got invited to sit at a table there, so we'll go.
Have a good one.
All right, well, refuel.
Because that would just be,
I want you to roll that over.
get everybody's back.
No.
I did.
Felt it was probably better.
All right. So did we approve that?
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. There we go. We'll call the meeting back to order. And Dickinson Airport, Kelly Brown, you want to come up?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Kelly Brown, the airport manager here in Dickinson. I was asked to come in and give the commissioners an update this morning. Just wanted to give you a little backstory on how we ended up where we're at right now. Last year, the airport conducted a terminal study as we moved into this project, and we looked at our old terminal, identified some of the shortcomings, and looked at the potential of taking the current terminal and modifying it and rehabbing it into a modern facility. Because of the construction of the terminal and the way that the terminal's been added onto over the years, that just wasn't a possibility for us. And that study led us into planning and designing for a brand new commercial terminal. We are currently in the design phase. We're about halfway through that. We are working on our cost estimates. J.E. Dunn is partnering with us as a CMAR on this project, along with Mead and Hunt, the airport's engineering firm. We, on my slide here, on the very first page, I have some of the projected costs for this project. We met with the city and a couple of the commissioners about a month or so ago. We looked at some of the initial costs for this project. The terminal building itself was coming in at about $3.45 million. And that was for the facility as designed by the architects. We were asked to go back to the drawing board and see if we could cut some of those costs out without significantly changing the layout of the building or the exterior appearance of the building. We were able to carve that down a little bit, about close to $1 million. Like I said, the cost estimates aren't completely in yet, but we're working on shaving some of those costs off. Backing up just a little bit, the terminal design, the airport is covering the costs for the design of this building, about $3 million total. We got a state grant for $1 million. We got a FAA grant for $1 million, and we're covering the remainder, about $1.1 million out of airport funds to cover the design of this. So we didn't go to the city or to the county to ask for a local participation in that design. We wanted a clean set of plans to move forward with the construction. So as we move into the budget season, I know that those numbers are going to come to mind as we move through this. So both the city and the county, and also some of our neighboring counties, Dunn County and Billings County, will be asking for these numbers. Total project costs from conception to finish locally, we're looking at about $11 million total, and that includes the $1 million that I just mentioned for the design. So that's what we're looking at, total picture. The area that we're focusing on right now is the terminal itself, the construction of that terminal. And the state, we've got a request in with the state for $30 million to fund the biggest portion of this. There are 3 projects going on in the state right now. Grand Forks has a project, Fargo has a project, and Dickinson has a project. We're calling these generational projects because they only come along about once every 30, 40 years or so. And the state has been very supportive of these 3 projects, and Dickinson's project in particular. It's a $120 million total ask from the state, $30 million for Dickinson, $30 million for Grand Forks, and $60 million for Fargo. We have met with our legislators at the state. Everyone has been very supportive of these projects. We went through the Senate without too much pushback, but now that we're in the House, there's a lot of discussion, projections for the upcoming budgets there's a little bit of a shortfall, so they've been looking at making cuts across the state wherever they can. And this $120 million funding ask is still intact. It was removed from the Senate Bill 2006, and they're looking at funding it through other means. I don't know if it's going to come through a cash or if the state's going to bond for it. I'm not sure, but we've been all three airports have been reassured that that funding is going to come. And there may be a reduction in some of the funding for Grand Forks because they can take advantage of their phasing. Part of their project will be phased in the next biennium, so they may choose to reduce that this biennium and fund it the next biennium. Fargo and Dickinson, however, because of the timing of the project, we'll need those funds this biennium, and we'll be able to expend those before the next biennium starts. So that's where we're at. as we move forward past the terminal building construction, we've got the commercial apron and then the access roads off of Highway 22 and the parking lot. We'll tackle those as they come, but right now our main focus is funding the terminal construction. So if you clip through some of the slides, I've got some architecture renderings of what the new facility looks like. So right here is the overall plan, kind of the floor plan of the building. It incorporates all the requirements for our TSA screening. It identifies all the shortcomings that we have right now with passenger holding, baggage screening, and such. Right now, when you fly through our airport, all of the check bag has to be screened by hand, which is time consuming and a little bit cumbersome, quite frankly, and at times embarrassing. So the new airport will be able to have automated baggage screening, which alleviates all those shortcomings, has a modern passenger holding area with all the required conveniences that the traveling public would expect to see. And then the next couple of slides are just the architect's rendering of what the exterior of the building looks like. If you notice on this particular rendering, there's a cover that goes over the entryway of the terminal, over the sidewalk, and there's some support columns there. When we were looking at this originally, there was some glue lam timber structures that we were going to use. And we've gone away from that as a cost-cutting measure, so we're going to be looking at steel, and that would take away those 6 vertical supports on the front of that, which frankly kind of opens up that area to the glass behind it, gives it a little bit more of a modern feel, so I wasn't too disappointed. And then the rest of it, you know, we were looking at some stacked stone and stuff like that for the exterior. We've since decided to go away from that in some cost-cutting measures. If you could just kind of breeze through those next couple of slides, there's some more renderings there. This is the air side. Very excited to have a air stair incorporated into the design. That has been problematic for the airport, especially in the wintertime. You know, folks coming and going, having to unload the aircraft, walk across the pavement, which isn't always in the most ideal of conditions. So having that skywalk will be huge. We've also designed the new terminal to be expanded if in the future we have additional airlines or we have additional demands on this facility. We'll be able to add on to this facility and add an additional skywalk if necessary, without having to go back and start all over from scratch. Here's an interior view of the main entryway into ticketing on the left side with the self-check-in kiosks, the FIDS display, flight information display, and the ticket counters. And then off to the right is our what we call the front lounge. We've got some areas in this space dedicated to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library and the museum here in town, so that they can take advantage of those spaces and kind of drive some of our visitors into those areas. We also anticipate some increased employments in and out of the Western North Dakota when the Theodore Roosevelt Library opens up this year. We anticipate anywhere from, depending on who you talk to, at 50,000 to 100,000 additional travelers. I've heard estimates as high as 200,000 when that library opens, and we want the airport to be the prime gateway to Western North Dakota. This is a rendering of the passenger holding room. Again, enough seating in here for about, I think at max capacity, 110 passengers. Our target is a 76-seat aircraft coming in and out of here, so that would be the floor. But we have designed this so that if we have Sun Country Charter or something like that come in, we can expand this space with some movable partition walls to be able to handle up to 130 passengers. So that aircraft can come in, folks can utilize the facility in comfort and be able to service that aircraft. The interior view of the holding room also looks to the west. It doesn't really show it very well in this picture, but it really has a commanding view of the sweeping landscape to the west of the airport, which is very, very nice. The next slide, if you could pop one over.
I think that's it.
Is that it? All right. So that's where we're at right now. As I mentioned just a little bit ago, when the airport reconstructed the runway, we made requests from Dunn County and from Billings County to help participate with the local share, which they did. I've been in talks with Dunn County commissioners, and I'll be, once we have the final numbers done, I'll be approaching both Dunn County and Billings County to make a request for a local participation in our local share of the building cost. Two.
So when will the funding be last minute at the legislature, I'm assuming?
I would guess. The latest in the information that I've got is that they pulled it out it was either last week Friday or it might have even have been yesterday. And they're, like I said, the funding is still there. They're just looking at funding it in a different route instead of allocating it directly to the Aeronautics Commission's budget.
Do you have a fallback plan if you come up 5 million short?
Well, I'll tell you, we've got a lot of questions from legislators across the state. And if there is a reduction in that 30 million, that will pretty much end the project. The airport can't support much more than what we've identified in our local support. Stark County, the city of Dickinson, if they said, hey, we're going to trim this, from 30 to 25, I don't believe there's a mechanism for us to be able to meet that additional local ask.
If the funding was sufficient, what would the local asks be, and then what is the timeline on some of this stuff?
So we'll have a better idea of what that's going to look like over the next 2 years. We'll look at what those expenditures are going to be for this year. So I guess we wouldn't say, for example, for Stark County Sheriff, we said our ask of Stark County is going to be $2.5 million, just throwing it out there. We would look at what the spend is going to be in 25, and we would make the request for X amount in 25 and then X amount in 26, and then potentially a little tidy up in 27. So it wouldn't be the entire amount all in one go.
So do you foresee, if there's going to be the increase that they're predicting because of the museum, that they would be bringing in more flights, or you'd have an option of bringing other airlines, and then would you have to do that expansion for the other gates? Is there any way of tracking how many people want to buy a ticket or denied because there were no seats available for them to fly in and out?
There's a lot of questions in there. So I guess first off, let's talk about additional airline. So the long-term goal is to be able to get Delta to come back to our community with service back and forth to Minneapolis. So we have designed, what we have in place right now is designed to be able to accommodate that additional airline. So we can accommodate 2 different airlines with 1 gate, right? We can move that, swing it around, and make that work without having to do a whole new expansion. That was one question. The second question that is getting a lot of attention is how many additional employments are we going to see, and are the additional employments going to be sustainable? Are we going to see that for a long period of time, or is this going to be a flash in the pan? I wish I had a better crystal ball for that. We do know that the first couple of years of the opening of the presidential library, we're going to see an influx of folks coming and going. And I think once that's done, then I want to kind of stay in my lane, but it's going to be dependent on the tourism, North Dakota tourism, to keep that at the forefront of everything. And we're hopeful that when folks come in and they get exposed, because we're anticipating some folks coming to this part of the country that have never been here before, and it's going to be discovered, and then the word's going to get out, and they'll spread that around, and we can continue to keep that going through some tourism.
And then, is there any way that they track how many people want to buy a ticket but can't buy a ticket because there's no availability? So that there would be a forecast or,
Yes. So that continues ongoing. So right now with United Airlines, the SkyWest Airlines, so the airport is an essential air service, and we're guaranteed 13 flights per week as part of that essential air service contract. And when there is increases in demand, SkyWest will add additional flights. So right now we have 1 additional at-risk flight that SkyWest is taking on Tuesdays. So Tuesday is typically a 1 flight per day, but right now because of the demand, there's 2 flights per day on Tuesdays. So they have been able to make those adjustments as needed. One of the issues that we've had is SkyWest asked us if they could bring in CRJ 700, which is a 76-seat aircraft, and we've had to turn them down because we just don't have the room to handle that demand. We don't have the room.
The runway does it, but the terminal does not.
The runway does, but the terminal doesn't have the space. Correct.
Have you had any conversations with the library?
We just had a meeting last week with some folks from the library, and they're trying to put together a plan, but I have not been successful in getting someone directly from the library to sit down and have a meeting.
Because it'd be kind of interesting. I'm sure they're scheduling and booking and kind of have probably an idea of what's going to be coming out this way. Either people flying into Bismarck, Dickinson, traveling from Billings, doing a Yellowstone tour and then coming out here, or they might have a better idea of what kind of traffic they're expecting to see once they open up.
I do know that we're expecting to see an uptick in GA traffic around that opening, private jets that are coming and going. Specifically for the grand opening, but how that goes, after that, it's a question mark.
So what does the revenue forecast look like operational wise once, if you're successful in getting the new terminal built? What does the revenue expense operations look like? Because, we currently levy a mill and fund that for you. I'm assuming that the request for the terminal is going to be off budget and one-time expenditure, which you will have to get to us before our budget because we have nothing in there for that now. But what does that look like?
Yeah, so kind of like the road department, right? We do more with less wherever we can. Right now, the airport operates with 9 full-time staff. We anticipate probably having to add 1 or possibly 2 more to our staff in the housekeeping department Probably one, I'm guessing right off the bat, and one additional housekeeping. But we don't foresee any additional staffing issues other than that one. I don't think that's going to change our mill request, which we use for operating costs, and then we make up the shortfall with revenue that we generate at the airport. So I don't believe there's going to be any impacts to our requests for mills from the state or from the county when it comes to funding or operations. I believe we'll be able to handle that without seeing any substantial increase. We'll be able to get some efficiencies too with the new modern terminal. So I don't anticipate seeing any uptick in the day-to-day operating costs, utilities, and that kind of thing.
So, water, I mean, how's Southwest Water working with you guys on this? Okay.
With us?
Yeah. So I know we are working with Southwest Water, and they are putting together a study to see what kind of demands are going to be on that southern transmission line. The airport put in a request for 7 taps. We don't anticipate having to use all 7, but at full scale build out when we're planning for the future, there's a very good possibility that we'll need those. We'll need 2 taps to provide water service for the terminal. And that is just for domestic drinking water. It doesn't include any fire protection or anything like that.
It's quite an interesting presentation.
Yeah. Well, I would, I don't know if there's other questions, but I would suggest once the legislative session is finalized and you know what that looks like, that we get you back here with a formal request. In the meantime, we can digest what our appetite for this looks like.
Sure.
And go from there. I don't know what the wish.
Well, I think that's great. I think it's exciting that we can be, I mean, it might be painful, but it's an exciting step to the future.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. And you'll see me again. I plan on coming in after session is over and providing another update. And hopefully at that time we'll have a little bit better idea where our cost estimates are at also. And then probably a second time I'll come before you and we'll have a better idea what the requests are going to be and what that dollar amount's going to be.
Did you mention what the use or the purpose of the existing building would be?
Yeah, so we would like to be able to redevelop the existing commercial terminal into something. And I've had a few folks reach out to me with some intents on some ideas that would fit in with the airport and some of the demands that we have here. Not quite at liberty to publicly say exactly what those are going to be, but we're looking at some options for that. One of the issues that we have when it comes to the old terminal is, there are federal funds available to remove that terminal, right? If we need to demolish the old terminal, it would be federally eligible for that. If we decide that we want to keep it and hopefully redevelop it, then that's on us. And if the future doesn't work out the way we want it to, we can't go back to the feds and say, hey, we need some money to remove this building. It's kind of a one-time opportunity. So we're hopeful that we can time some opportunities to come in and redevelop that space before we need to make that decision.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yep, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Okay, next on our agenda will be the Small City Grant Fund request from Belfield. You have before you a little bit notes in regarding that. And Jeff and you guys.
Shannon Rose.
Shannon
Houston.
Okay. I think we've seen a lot of your stuff. Is there anything you want to add to what you presented to us the other day? If not, I think we are ready to.
I know one of the questions was timelines. So with our timelines, what we're looking at is the city council would like to send the invite to bid out next week is what we're looking to do. The Department of Water Resources would like to see us have a bid before we make the full request for the cost share from the Department of Resources. So their meeting is May 22nd for the pre-commission, with June 12th being their commission meeting where they'd make the final decision to either approve our funding or not approve it. That would be the $1 million that they're potentially gonna cost share on the project, so.
And I remember Paul had a real good question was, if we don't get that funding, do we move forward? And so I will bring that up next week at the meeting, just to let the guys know that this project needs to be done, so. I see the city doing it, whether we have to take a loan, or hopefully we get this funding or some of it, but we feel good about it.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Anybody ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the grant request of $385,000 and $598.14, I guess was it? 385, 598, 14. I request that be granted.
Okay. Anybody want to second that?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Claris. Any discussion? I think
So
one of the, go ahead.
Go ahead, what you
My was point, but I just want to emphasize that this is matching funds.
Yes,
It's the-
that's what I was gonna.
Yeah, it's the second dollars in, not the first
point I wanted
dollars
to make
in.
too.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Franchuk?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck,
Thank you guys for all your work on
I
it.
think that's another exciting step to the future.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's move, planning and zoning, Mr. Josephson.
Chairman Messer, Commissioner Steve Josephson, Stark County Planner. There was a planning and zoning workshop, meeting on March the 27th. There were 3 public hearings. The Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommended approval for the following. I'll go ahead and read them in. The first one is RZ 0125. Jared and Cassidy Herning are requesting a rezoning from agriculture to agricultural residential for a property located in the southwest half of the northeast quarter of section 24, Township 140 North, Range 95 West, containing approximately 12.64 acres. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have about that.
On the legal description, in the south half of the northeast of 24.
I mean, of the proposed rezoning.
Yeah. Okay, any questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning from ag to ag residential for RZ 01-25 for Jared and Cassidy Herning.
I'd second that.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
This is a companion minor subdivision plat, MSP 0225. Jared and Cassidy Herning requesting approval of a minor subdivision plat of the J&C Herning Homestead subdivision, again located in the south half of the northeast quarter of Section 24, Range 140 North, Township 140 North, Range 95 West, containing approximately 12.64 acres. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the MSP 0225 Jared and Cassidy Herning requesting approval for a minor subdivision plat for the J&C Herning Homestead subdivision.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Steve? is
Hearing
that-
none?
Oh,
Whoops.
I'm sorry, real quick. That's 12.86 or 12.64 acres?
12.64.
It's 12.64.
Okay. I was just seeing on the request, it said 12.86.
Where are you seeing that at?
I think the 12.86 was the first one.
First
right?
application. So
This is the companion to it, correct?
is the minor sub smaller than the
Oh, no,
rezone?
actually, it meets the same legal description.
You would think so.
It's
yeah.
the same legal
Where are you
description.
seeing the 12?
Okay.
Where the 12 point, I'm not seeing that. Difference.
So on page one on those, on the one we're on right now, does that part in the request,
Oh,
that
I see it.
second one, does that need to change to 12.64 from 12.86?
It was noticed as 12.6, it's the same, so, and it was noticed that way.
Well, you just have a typo here in the request
Yeah.
part.
In the staff report, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
No,
if
but
that's
as long as the notice went out
Okay.
with the proper one, it's fine.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, will everybody who is in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
So
Josephson.
we got one more, okay. This is the last one. So there, it's MSP 0325, that's Clyde and Judy Freiberg. They're requesting approval of minor subdivision plat of the Freiberg subdivision located in the west one half of the southwest quarter of section 36, township 139, range 97. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve application MSP 0325 from Clyde and Judy Flyberg, creating the Flyberg subdivision.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Motion, all those opposed, say nay. Motion is approved.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will notify the applicants of your approval.
Why don't we
Thank
take up the
you very much.
board opening?
Oh, okay.
We have an applicant. Do you have an opening?
Oh, yeah.
Hoping that
So that was way back in the packet?
I put it
Yep.
Yes, we have received an applicant for the County Planning and Zoning Commission. Matthew Nicholas has applied, and this would replace Mike LeMay, who, his term expires January of 2028, but he's unable to fulfill his position.
So this would fill the remainder of his term?
Yes, mhm.
Okay. Comments, questions? I know Matthew, he will do an outstanding job.
he attended our last meeting and, he's shown some interest in that, and I might make a motion to approve appointing him to the Stark County Planning and Zoning, Matthew Nicholas.
Do I have a second?
I'd second that.
Okay. Any other discussion, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Then Joetta, you'll notify him
I
that
will.
he's, okay, and then he contact Steve for information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move on to emergency management. Brad?
Morning, Commissioners Chair. So just an update for March summary for, I guess, emergency management. All of our community lifelines are good. We didn't have anything come up in the last month. Calls for service for March, we had 21 controlled burns, 2 gas leaks, 5 bonfires, 7 brush fires, there were 3 vehicle fires, 5 smoke smell calls, 2 structure fires, and then 14 that ended up in a all other category, for a total of 59 calls for service for the month of March. As you can see here, the kind of that left bigger picture, these are the soil moisture percentiles. So North Dakota currently is in the dry to very dry, pretty much across the whole state. And Stark County is currently in that roughly 2% soil moisture down to 3 feet. So we're in a very dry kind of spring coming into the season here. Just to the right of that, the upper picture there, March of 24, pretty much the whole lower 2/3 of the state was in that 30 to 90% soil moisture. And then just below that, bringing it fast forward to March of 25, the whole kind of western half of the state is in a kind of 1 to 10% soil moisture, so extremely dry compared to last year at the same time, which kind of reflects again too on this drought monitor. So that upper left picture is the beginning of the month of March, and then right below that, the bottom right is towards the end of March. There wasn't any really significant changes across the state. A little bit of change up in the kind of McKenzie-Williams County area. But as far as for our area, Stark County didn't have any change. We still fall in that D2, which is severe drought. And then kind of historically looking at it in the past, it kind of falls, the conditions that are labeled there in that D2 category kind of meet those, what the last slide and this slide are showing. That the, dusty conditions, potentially poor air quality, open burn and fire work restrictions are implemented kind of during these times, and then decreased river flows. So, what causes wildfires? We have natural causes, lightning, heat from the sun, and then there's the human factors, vehicles, cigarettes, fireworks, open burning, and campfires. So, any of those in conjunction with dry vegetation, grass, brush, trees, will create a fire. And then the thing that really, I guess intensifies these is the weather conditions. So we have strong winds, drought, high temperatures, low humidity can all affect how rapidly that fire will grow or progress. So with that, kind of across the state, as of this morning, we had the whole state has had 150 wildland fires with just a little over 10,000 acres burned currently. 1 structure was damaged, 6 structures threatened. Stark County has only reported 1 brush fire with approximately 1 acre burned. So as in the state as a whole, we're pretty fortunate. We only had that roughly about an acre burned. Glen Olin, Elgin, they had a fairly large fire. That was on March 10th, and that same day, the National Weather Service also issued a red flag warning for that day. And that fire started roughly about 4 p.m. in the afternoon, so kind of that prime heating time of, when we get the highest temperatures. And as you can see there, kind of right in the center there, that home and structure, I'm sure accounts for some of those 6 structures that were threatened. But you can see the fire came all the way up to the structure, but the landscaping around it kind of helped prevent it from getting to the actual house. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but if you blew up the picture, they have landscaping and rock around the structure. Same with a lot of those outbuildings around it. Went up to like where the rock and concrete was, and then burned around that.
Would that have been because your fuel is lower because of the winter, and it's like in the fall your grass and everything are so big, but in the spring now is low, and I suppose if it would have been taller, it would have spread.
It's potential. There could have been, in the fall you look at, the leaf fall, stuff like that. You could have had vegetation and stuff on top of that landscaping.
I was just looking
which
when
could
it
have
came to the landscape.
contributed to it. From that picture, it appears they had like a concrete kind of landscape type pattern around it, and then rock from the house up to that landscaping border. And then you'll see that a lot of times in those wildland urban interface. They try to limit vegetation growth all the way up to a home. You know, so if you had tall grass all the way up to the structure, the fire can go all the way up to that structure before it, you know, it impinges on that structure. By having those setbacks and that kind of the landscaping, keeping vegetation cut short, you know, not allowing big bushes and stuff like that around your properties helps limit the fire spread to those structures. So that's kind of, I like that. I like this picture. You know, it's a sad scenario that it happened, but it does show that having those setbacks and that landscaping can help protect your structure. Just a reminder, the penalty for violating any burn restriction is a Class B misdemeanor, maximum sentence of 30 days in jail and a $1,500 fine, and restitution costs may be sought after from courts. And then one of the final things, we are going to be resuming the siren testing starting on April 9th. The test will be performed every Wednesday at 11 a.m. for the duration of 30 seconds. So a test is 30 seconds. A full or a true activation of the tornado siren or the sirens in general is a 3-minute duration. So that's how you can kind of differentiate between a test versus a full activation. Some of the criteria that need to be met for, or that to activate those sirens is the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for any community located in Stark County. A funnel cloud or tornado is reported within 15 miles and is in a direct path to hit any city within Stark County. Sustained wind speeds of 70 miles per hour or greater are reported to be approaching or present within any city in Stark County. And a sustained is a 2-minute average, according to the National Weather Service. And then the sirens may also be activated during any emergency deemed life-threatening, requiring the public to need to shelter in place. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay. Yep, then you have some,
Yep, and then, so we also have the Motorola contract, which just looking for signature to sign to, I guess, get that invoice paid and continue that contract.
let's just do it one at a time. Yeah, so any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and pay on Motorola contract.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk?
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Okay, thank you. And then the second one I have is a mutual aid agreement between us and Mackenzie County. Just looking for a signature for that as well. Just in the event that they were to request mutual aid from us.
Is this new or just a renewal?
That I am not sure.
I believe it's new.
I believe it is a new one. I don't believe we had anything.
Okay.
I know the fire departments had agreements between Mackenzie County or all the kind of surrounding counties, but I don't think us as emergency management had anything set in stone.
Okay,
So you're just looking for approval for Elena to sign it, correct? See her under Stark County.
Yes. Yeah, I guess just getting the approval from you that if Mackenzie County were to request us to, for any mutual aid assistance, that you guys would give us, I guess, the blessing to be able to go and help them out. So.
okay. Can I get a motion to that?
Motion to approve the MOU with Mackenzie County and have Elena sign it.
I'd second that, but has the state's attorney reviewed it, or?
I've looked at it and I've talked to Elena about it. I think it's fine to approve for her signature.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
And then the last one I have is just the update to the burn restrictions. So the burn restriction moving forward, we, along with recommendations from the fire chiefs in Stark County and kind of the briefing with the National Weather Service, and you kind of seen the presentation of how dry we are currently, that moving the controlled burns and basically banning all open burning for all categories in the new restriction.
Okay, any questions on that? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to change or redefine the burn restriction and fire emergency classification.
I'll make the motion for the commissioner, or chairman to sign the burn restriction.
Okay, got a motion, gonna get a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad, while you're up there, have you made any events or anything with that deal with texting, the information to the emergency, for the ambulance service and that, or has there been anything done with that, or?
We've looked into it. We actually had, us along with dispatch had a kind of a talk with a company that does some more of that. We're just kind of waiting on some more information and some pricing back from it. So we are looking into it. We're working on it. So
Okay, thank
hopefully
you.
we can get you an answer soon. So,
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, thanks. Joetta, County Handbook Update and Policy.
All right, I brought back what we had discussed last time. There were a couple of questions about some of the sections. The first one is on use of equipment and vehicles. And in that, Sheriff Lee had brought forward that they do a ride-along program. So on page 28, we added language that some departments within Stark County have internal policies which are more specific than the guidelines outlined in this general policy. And it refers to those examples such as emergency operation of sheriff's vehicles, pursuit driving regulations, or a ride-along program. So we addressed that. And then right below it, in use of equipment, the county shop had brought forward concerns about keeping vehicles in the shop. And so we clarified that. Number 3, no personal vehicles or property shall be serviced in county-owned facilities or stored overnight unless an emergency closing due to inclement weather requires an employee to remain on site. So those were 2 of the areas. The third one was under workplace violence prevention. We wanted to add language that if we need to contact the authorities or get law enforcement involved, we could. And so that is in that paragraph there, that they can contact management or law enforcement authorities. Once a managerial level team member is notified of a violent or threatening situation, they must contact Human Resources, and then HR will assist in coordinating the proper response and notifying the appropriate personnel or authorities. And this includes threats by employees, as well as by customers, vendors, solicitors, or other members of the public. In appropriate cases, the county may seek criminal prosecution or cooperate with the appropriate authorities. There. And I had Corey and Amanda look at that too, and they thought that was appropriate. And then the final area that we had a lot of discussion on was the drug and alcohol policy. And what I decided to do that you'll see in your packets is keep the drug and alcohol-free workplace language in the handbook, but then a lot of the meat of it, I just took it all out, put in a drug and alcohol-free workplace policy so that it lays out everything. Our employee assistance program, our work rules, how we do all of our different drug testing, because we have different areas. We have pre-employment, we have, in that section, we have reasonable suspicion testing, we have post-accident testing, and then we have random testing. And then how all those testing methods and procedures work. So this isn't anything new. This is something we already had in place and that we've been doing. So I put that all down in a policy.
Any questions of Joetta?
It's under the reasonable suspicion, and I know it says HR must be consulted before sending an employee for testing. What if there's an issue that you're not available and then there's something going on and they'd have to, I guess I'd have an issue with that, they must consult with you for it.
Typically, in reasonable suspicion, you need at least 2 management or supervisory people that observe the, reason why you want to send them in for testing. I mean, really, it can be contacted by phone or any way. If you can't contact me, it doesn't mean people can't go to testing. You just need to make sure that you are doing the right thing.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but I mean,
And
if
usually-
there's something in the workplace that's good, it could be a
I
safety
mean, we
issue.
can
and,
change
to-
the wording.
Yeah, if you have must in there, then it means must. So
Yeah.
if it's discretionary, then you have to use a
And I also
discretionary word.
think maybe we should address the reasonable suspicious stuff, because it shouldn't, somebody who does reasonable suspicion should probably go through some sort of training, reasonable suspicion training.
We have a whole sheriff's
They have
office
to.
at our disposal.
I don't know.
In fact, that's a, that's a law, so
but
you
I
have
mean-
to be a qualified supervisor in order to
Correct.
observe and be able to send somebody for
Well,
reasonable
then
suspicion.
the first paragraph says 2 qualified supervisors will attend the required reasonable suspicion training too.
Yeah, yeah.
But this form needs to be filled out first, correct? I mean, you have a reasonable suspicion, you have to get with HR.
You should
have to go through
document,
this
yes.
whole
Mhm.
documentation thing.
Yeah.
You have to inform the employee they're under reasonable suspicion, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
process.
How long, I mean, is there some sort of timeline criteria for this reasonable suspicion? Like within 24 hours, 48 hours, 2 weeks? Like how quickly do you want this filled out? I mean, I think that should be, you don't want someone who you noticed 2 weeks ago and then you fill out this reasonable suspicion
obviously.
form and then,
It's, it's right away, and usually within 2 hours is typically.
is that in there? I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Has anybody, I don't think anybody within the county has ever just said, oh, you came to work drunk today, let's go take a breathalyzer, have they?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, it happens where I work, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
doubt it.
I mean, more than likely, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a call, I'm gonna get a call that says, I smell alcohol in their breath, they're staggering. What do we do? Type of a thing, so,
I think the policy states that we have to have somebody who is a verified reasonable suspicion training person. We got a form. I think it's fine.
So you wanna change HR, maybe, or should be?
Well, normally you would contact you under, but if it's a safety issue, I think, with if you're not able to get you, hold you right away.
Shall, I don't know. Would that be
Shall-
better?
Shall be?
Well, shall and must are the same as far
Okay,
as,
yeah.
so if you're looking at, maybe you say HR must be consulted before sending an employee for testing. In the event HR is not available, whoever you decide is the other person.
Reach out to Corey
Shall
directly.
be notified or something like that, I guess.
Okay.
Because Dean's right, you wanna have a backup plan, I mean.
So could we?
Or what if it's-
Could we also say, or state's attorney's office?
I think Corey is much better.
Or Cory? Or sheriff's department?
But yes, that would be, one of us would be fine. I personally, I think we've got law enforcement here. Like if you want to if you have reasonable suspicion that someone's under the influence, all of Corey's people should be
Here at the
trained
courthouse.
in that sort of detection,
So,
right? So
like-
I don't think it's unreasonable to say, call law enforcement to bring them up.
Put in there, if HR is unavailable, hang up and dial 911. Should go right to
Call-
Cory.
Okay, so we need action on the change of the handbook, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so any other questions on the handbook portion, at least? To accept the changes as written in red?
I'd make a motion to just accept the changes and move forward.
Okay, I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the handbook changes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay. Do we need to, that covers what you've done?
Yes, and then I can speak to the justification for an added position for
Okay,
IT.
so that's next is the IT
Okay.
support.
I'm on the IT committee, and we would like to bring forward this justification that is in your packets. A little bit of history here. We hired an IT coordinator in September, and Jeremiah's been doing a spectacular job for us. Right away when he came on, he put in the ticketing systems so we could get going. He took care of immediate needs that we had, and has been really focused on our security and making sure we're following CGIS compliance. And through this process and through some things that are happening by October, we would like to transition to Office 365 for all of our employees so that they have licensing and everything under this product, which would make us much more secure, easier for all of us to do our work and have access. Right now, a lot of the issues come with our email, I would say. He spends a lot of time, and this would take care of a lot of those problems too. But that you'll see the benefits of adding the position would be this successful project implementation. It's nice having Jeremiah here, and under contract, so this year, we normally contract about 820 hours with Consolidated. That's what we did in 2024. This year, we chose to only contract half of that, 420 hours with them. So it's essentially a contract providing labor for us. If we go over those contract hours or we work outside of the contract, we pay about $104 an hour for their services. So what we're proposing here is we can absorb this position within the IT budget. We did budget for the full contract with Consolidated, but we cut that in half. So we're looking at probably a salary of around $50,000 this year, and that would be less. Of course, we're 3 months into the budget cycle, and we feel that we can absorb that within our contract or agreement budget that we have currently in place. If you want technical questions, I might have to have Jeremiah speak.
Hi, Jeremiah.
Oh,
How are you?
good. You?
Good. Well, if there's any questions, I guess I'd open up. We've had, through the IT committee, he brings us some metrics every month as far as tickets that we've had, and, I guess you could maybe touch a little bit on the success of your ticket program or your ticket portal that you created. How many tickets have been created, how many tickets have been closed, priorities, so on and so forth. So if you want to just give us a little bit of a rundown of what you've done there.
So when I first got here, priority was to get the ticket system up, and I did that pretty quick. Took a little while to get going, for everybody to kind of realize that there's a way to reach me. And in that time frame, I was going through and checking things out, making sure we were good. But when it took off, it took off. It was nonstop running. At one point in time, I had gotten 20 behind. I had 20 things stacked up in my ticket. That looks like in January. January through February, I couldn't catch up. Since then, I've kind of got to the source of some of these problems, and some of the Windows stuff had settled in, and we got caught up in March, but that doesn't mean Windows won't do something else to break everything.
Can you give us a little rundown as far as this migration into Office 365 and how that looks?
365, well, we know 2019, Office 2019 is expiring. Its end of service life is October 14th. On that date, there will be no more updates from Microsoft, which means anybody could send something through an email or open a document on thumb drive after that date and get a surprise, a nasty surprise. And Microsoft's not worried about it. So we have to go to Office 365 to get rid of the old software that's no longer going to be supported, bring in the new software, and we'll continuously get updates on that stuff. Because Microsoft supports their cloud stuff a lot better.
And there's a licensing issue as well? With the
Yes,
Yeah.
with 2019, we're somehow behind a few licenses. on
So
that.
what?
We were short a few licenses on the 2019, quite a few. So we got software out there that shouldn't be. So we gotta take care of that too.
What's the cost of bringing 365 on board to include manpower, in your estimation?
If we were to do it, the licensing alone was quoted at $55,000 a year. It's not gonna be that high because that was quoted at 120 licenses. But we're not gonna need that many. I've since then done a list. We talked to Joetta here, find out how many employees we actually have. And it's gonna be closer to around 100. But I'll need to purchase some additional security stuff that won't amount to that much. So it'll be a little bit less. Trying to get a grant. The grant is going to have rollout, preparation, training for 365, and the company knows how government's set up, so they'll cover the regulatory stuff that we need to cover. Right now, it's kind of hanging out there. I'm not entirely sure. It was supposed to be done in February and approved and all that, but we're just now gotten to the environment impact statement part, 2 weeks ago? Brad got that. Maybe we'll make that before the October. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that's tied up in the current political climate.
Going to Office 365 has an environmental impact?
Just for the grant, they don't want to make sure we're not drilling holes in old buildings and trashing the place. For other projects, it's not just for this, right?
Interesting.
So to download 365 into all these units, you gotta take them all individually and do it, or?
Yes.
And 360, and 365 is a cloud-based, everything's
Right.
in the cloud, so.
Everything's in the cloud.
Everything should transition very smoothly. It's pretty quick. So this non-budgeted addition position, I gotta sound good, but that's for what IT support technician?
Mm-hmm.
And that's an individual to run around, run some stuff through the ceilings, lines.
This guy's gonna help me with everything, not just that. It's gonna
Okay.
help me with the tickets, when Windows breaks things.
Full-time or part-time?
Full.
So
I got enough work.
Full-time, it would be an addition, for a budget for this year around $54,000, correct? Did you, for bring them on with benefits and everything for the rest of the 9 months? Okay, that are left in this year?
So what are we gonna do next year?
Next year, we continue to fix things. We got a lot to
No,
fix.
but I mean, regarding the budget, so I mean, yeah, you probably, if you took the consolidated contract, and let's say you budgeted 85,000, you get away with 42,000, so you have 40,000 in there for the position. Are you saying next year consolidated's at 30,000, 20,000?
I am actually hoping that with the help, I'll be able to dig into the things that I don't have yet, and we won't need that.
You won't need consolidated?
I'm hoping. If so, we'll have a lot of hours carried over for the next year, so the price will be.
Well, on any of these conversations that we do, my concern is, you know, if you go back and take IT and look back 4 years, you know, we've more than doubled the budget within that, and we've spent a tremendous amount of money through ARPA and Recovery Act monies, getting hardware and those kind of things, and that's all fine and dandy. Hopefully, we've been brought up to the 21st century. My concern is looking down the line, if we have, and this is not only for IT, but all the departments, and we'll visit about that a little bit later here as well. If we're staring caps in the face, what is this department, what do all these departments look, you know, when we have caps in place on how we can function? So I'm not expecting an immediate answer, but I want that to be a discussion for every department head in the next 3 to 4 months.
Like caps, what do you mean caps?
Well, any tax relief that's coming our way is gonna have a cap on what local political subs can levy and spend. And so if you look at a 3% cap, you know, how do we deal that countywide? You know, you can look at any departments. I'll pick on the sheriff, for example. That there's no way that he would have been able to operate on 3% caps for the last 3 to 4 years. It's not functional. So that's going to come down on us, and we got to figure out how we operate. I mean, we are creating a whole new environment of operations, and I'm not picking on yours, but I'm saying countywide, we need to re-look at all these because it's coming. In the next 2 weeks, they're going to, probably 3 weeks, going to sign a bill that's going to make it mandatory on us. So just think about that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question from a legal point of view? You said that Windows is phasing out in October, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and we have to let's just say you don't have the help or we don't get fully integrated onto Windows 365. Does that open the county up? I mean, my office deals with incredibly confidential things. Sheriff Lee's office deals with incredibly confidential documents, papers, things like that. Would that potentially open us up for some higher security issues?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If Office 2019, we continue using that after Microsoft quit patching it. You guys like your email. You get a lot of documents on your email, right? Something had hit you. Microsoft is done developing it. There's a vulnerability in it now. You're getting it, and it's going to spread. It's going to do what it does.
And that doesn't affect just email. I mean, that gets all into our system and takes over, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It'll go right through your Word, your Excel, whatever you're using, whatever they send it to you.
And obviously, I'm concerned about that if we have a major breach for legal purposes. And so with the work that you have now and with your work with Consolidated, are you able, do you think, to get this fully integrated by October? Because if not, then obviously I have huge concerns about breaches. Security.
Well, I have thought about that and I have planned. I have talked to Bonnie and made her aware that we had a bunch of stuff coming down the pike and they were going to help me. I also talked to Smart Computers, got their contract rate if I needed a hand with that from them. And if the grant and this employee doesn't work out, we're going to get started. We're going to have to. No choice. We're going to have to get started because just with what I would have, it's going to take too long.
What are you planning on moving over to 365? What's some of the things? Because I know just on a computer wise, I can have a new guy show up in my office, hand him a computer, and have him on 365 in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Through
pretty quick
GoDaddy.
once your licensing
Yeah.
and tenant is all set up. But you gotta set all that stuff up first.
What are you migrating over to 365? What's some of the biggest things?
The networking controls will go over there. You'll have your OneDrive. You'll have SharePoint. you'll have a host of other collaborative software that comes with the 365, so people can communicate with each other. A lot of that more fringe stuff is very valuable, but this is where the training that I wanted from the grant comes in, so that we're utilizing it. Microsoft is charging you for everything that comes with it. Even if you don't use it, they're still going to charge you. So I want the training out there too.
You know, I'll just, it's not minor, it's probably really important, but it's a simple point of this added position is currently Jeremiah is our only IT person. If Jeremiah is out sick, on vacation, and I think this, you know, everybody, all the users in this courthouse and across the county are getting pretty used to having some pretty good customer service with Jeremiah. He's taking care of a lot of problems. But we are currently sitting on, I mean, that guy right there, and that guy only knows what's going on. And we need to build some redundancy into this system. I think it just makes some sense here to have someone else that knows where the keys are. And can give him some help. I mean, we have a fairly good ticket load going on at all times, which this person could be integrated into that stuff. And you know, I think what we're having currently with Jeremiah is, I mean, he's running like crazy, taking care of really a lot of simple stuff, but at the same time, because those are all user things that, I mean, even if they're simple, it's down. You know, we're limiting productivity because of them. They're not low priority, but they're simple items that a person with lesser skills than you could probably handle, okay? Meanwhile, we're backburning, you know, putting some pretty major issues on the back burner because he's running around taking care of some really, really simple issues. And like I said, I mean, you know, the wheels of progress don't stop if Jeremiah's on vacation, and we need to have someone that should be able to help. And I think, I hope to believe that the employees of this county are getting really used to having some really, really quick response time for all of our ticket items, so.
And I do like the idea of having an additional person. I, for one, probably won't support it due to it's not a budgeted addition for this year. You know, we already, I think, brought on an additional person this year that wasn't a budget addition also into the county. We do have a second IT. We do have a contract with Consolidated as of right now. I think as a county, maybe we can, if there's some of these tasks here that need to be done, maybe we can find some resources within the county and until, you know, we can put it on a budgeted for next year.
I think that's where my confusion financially wise is do we not already pay for a contract with Consolidated? So why can't Consolidated help with our transition over to 365? Why do we have to hire another person on top of our contract?
All going to be
that we
outside
already
contract
have?
hours. That's going to be all outside contract hours.
Why would this all be outside of the contract hours?
Because it's not technical sport. A lot of it. We're rolling out new software and setting systems up.
I mean, the contract, I mean, there's been over the years, and we're happy with, they're fine, but like I said, the contract itself and what kind of support we actually get with that. I mean, there's some expectations across the county. We've got a contract with Consolidated. They're supposed to handle everything. That's not the case. That is not the case. I would say, give me a percentage of how many things, if we had 100 things to do, 75, 80% would not be covered by contract?
Trouble calls, stuff like that would be covered. But like when they're replacing servers, you get charged
Yeah, I mean, it's
extra on stuff like that. I can't tell you for sure if this migration would cost you extra for this, but it's going to take them a lot of hours to come down here and basically redo all the stuff with me. There's 169 computers over 3 locations that all need to be done.
When are we starting?
Well, my cutoff for the grant, which up until a couple weeks ago we heard nothing on, was May 14th. Give me 5 months to get it done, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the tenant.
How big's the grant application? Is it a phased in? Is it, what did you apply for?
It was, I believe, a 70-30 Or the state pays 70%, we pay 30. Total was gonna be around 350. I don't know the exact numbers right now. But that included the time for the contractors to come down here and help us find our stuff on the file server that needs to go to the cloud, because obviously everything don't need to go. That was to help set up the tenant and configure it the way it should be with the regulations we got involved, so that it's right out of the box, turnkey, and rollout and training. These guys are going to take care of, help me with all of that.
So to roll out 365, you don't physically have to touch every computer.
Yes, I do.
For what reason? What, for my laptop, what would you need?
I would need to take the 2019 off, wherever it is.
Okay, and you
And
don't remotely, can you do that, push that remotely out, or?
no,
No.
I can't.
Okay,
I can on some machines that are connected to the network, but like his, I couldn't, because he's not here on the network. And hers, for whatever reason that day, I couldn't do it either.
but if they're on the network here at the courthouse, you can?
Yes.
Okay. And then, because you're not updating any mail servers or anything like that, right? It's just all,
No, well,
What's the tenant?
that was the other thing. They were
Yeah,
gonna move, our Outlook into the cloud
okay,
and shut down the local mail server.
okay.
That was the other thing that was coming part of the package.
So- With the support that they offer, with maybe possibly pushing off some stuff to Consolidated, not with this project, maybe something else while you work on this project, would you be able to complete this, you know, the majority of rolling over most of the computers, not the servers or anything like that, by, you know, end of Q4, period 12?
Yes, definitely before the expiration.
Okay.
And and whether or not we get the contractors or not, I'm still planning on having Consolidated go to the shops, because they know those computers. I haven't been over there. I don't know anything about them. And they need some special attention to get Azure joined to the network.
I would like to have some more consideration given to this whole idea of redundancy in this position here. Like I said, we've got one person that's covering 160 computers across. How many buildings are you going to?
Well, 3 departments. It's here, LEC, and the 2 shops, and the extension, so 5.
Well, the question I have would kind of echo what Corey said, is how do we do this in compliance with our budget? If you come back and say the $80,000 budget at Consolidated, it's only going to be a $40,000 expenditure in '25. If you take the $20,000 you have for licenses and software and incorporate that, but yet you got to outlay 7 months, 6 months, 8 months for a $50,000, $52,000 cost employee and a $55,000 uptick in getting 365 involved. What does that do to the budget?
I think we've worked this out, that all these things that we're talking about fit into this budget for the 25 budget.
Yes.
I'd like to see that. I haven't seen that.
I mean, we're gonna be, I've got his budget here. I had it up here.
I mean, the conclusion, is that the conclusion, in the conclusion portion of it?
We've
'Cause-
been comfortable with that from the very beginning, that all these things that we're talking about, the new employee and the 365 can all be fit into our 25 budget.
Okay.
And what's the 365 costing us to do each computer? we said that, but I.
It's a $55,000 one-time deal plus an annual fee.
That's gonna be annually.
Annually.
55 annually.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be
Oh,
a
yeah, it was
significant
a-
increase to the 2026 budget, because you have
Right.
to figure the additional months, and you have to figure the pay increases and the cost of the 365, because right now the savings you have in 25 aren't gonna be the savings you're gonna have in 26. There's gonna be an increase.
55,000 is annualized.
Yes. That is every year.
So,
We've currently got, I mean,
What we were gonna save on the computer
If you look
replacements.
on computer updates.
computer
and-
updates and, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had budgeted 140,000. I think we have 111,000 left of that.
And you have a policy in place right now that says computers need to be held off for 5 years. They need to be expected to last for 5 years. And we're not gonna have to do much according to that. I got the warranty information, and most of them are 3 years old, so it won't be till sometime next year that we have to deal with most of those.
And in 365, when you migrated over, everything over in there, doesn't have to be all done in a 12-month period, right? They're here to help you. You work on it as you go. One of your first things will probably get in all the computers, laptops people use. Then after that, the little projects that need to be done, working on them, right? Or you want to cram all this into 2025, this fiscal year, and then what is the budgeted addition going to plan for in the future afterwards?
Well, the hot item is the software, right? The new 65. That is what's gonna get you in trouble with security. But you're not gonna pay any less for that licensing if we use nothing else
It's the same whether you.
than if you're using it. You save money gaining that productivity of having the whole package out there and everybody knowing how to use it than just giving them a large sum of money and
My question is, what's the urgency of bringing on an additional headcount this fiscal year?
this fiscal year is so I can dig into security.
Well, you also have, can you explain, you had mentioned setting up the tenant.
And it will take a significant amount of time to set up the tenant correctly for the security.
are you paying any other license fees outside of, so we have 20,000 in there for license fees. What other license fees would you be paying outside of the 365 for this year, 2025?
I'm not entirely sure.
Joy, do you think you know what?
Well, going back to the tenant, so the process, you have to set the tenant up first.
Yes.
Before we do this.
Tenant has to be set up.
You intend to do that yourself?
If there's no grant, yes, I will have to do that. That'll take a little bit.
Yes. So, I mean, I guess where we're going with this is like, okay, so we're gonna make the migration happen. He's gotta set the tenant up. Who's taking care of tickets while you're doing that?
Consolidated.
Okay. I don't wanna hear any complaining.
I'm gonna complain. He's in my office.
Well, you know, it's,
What's that?
Probably takes consolidating average.
I mean, what's Jeremiah's response time been? I mean, I think that, like I said, the whole goal with this whole IT coordinator at the beginning was that we'd have some like instant reaction to problems here and get some good customer service inside this building so the people in this building could work without as little as interruption as possible. And I think for the most part, we've accomplished that. I mean, I know there's been hiccups here and there, but overall, there's been a good response time to all tickets. Like I said, and it's what you get used to.
so if I look at it from the numbers, educate me if I'm wrong, we have 85,000 in for consolidated, we have 20,000 in for licensing, that's 105,000. We're gonna take a look at that, and under this play, we would spend 40,000 on consolidated, we would spend 55,000 on Microsoft 365, and we would spend 53,000 annualized on the position. So if you annualize each of those positions, we would be under the 105,000 threshold in expenditure in current year 2025. So if it looks and operates that way, then it fits within the budget. I'm just saying, and I'm not gonna dwell on it, that in the future, we can't come back and say, well, we didn't buy hardware in 2025, and so we're pushing it off to 2026, and so our hardware costs go, like this. So I just want that in the mindset.
And then that 55,000 is gonna be the annual fee that we have to
Right.
put into a budget every year.
Right, right.
Well, I'm not saying that the IT budget's gonna get smaller
Well, it
anytime
never
soon.
It probably won't,
No,
honestly.
I
Never.
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, like I said, for me, the push was just the support to Jeremiah, you know, and like I said, we're trying to build an IT department here that's responsive to our needs, and people can have some expectation and confidence that they're going to be handled quickly, and that's basically what we've been trying to do here. And like I said, he's one guy, and we're heaping a lot on him, and like I said, he can't be here 24/7, 7 days a week.
And that's probably some things we should have considered when we were looking at that position, that we might need more than one, so we can budget it differently.
I mean, and the ultimate idea would be to hopefully Jeremiah would be able to train this person, you know, to handle a lot eventually, but initially, I mean, what we're offering, you know, is we're probably not gonna get a super high-powered IT person here, but we could train someone that's new in the business and, you know,
Well, it'll be trial by fire for them. If they don't know the cloud, they'll know it when we're done.
Trial by fire when you stepped into?
Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
it is, like I said.
Okay, so to move this forward, does anybody have some action item that they'd like to pursue here?
Well, I'll hang it out there. I'd move that we begin the search for, what are we calling this person? IT support, yeah. I would make the motion to move forward with the search for an IT support technician.
I'll second.
Dollar figures you put on that?
Is it as proposed in the job description?
Yeah, we do have a jobs description here, and I think, Joetta, you've put some salary. We've kind of talked about that a little bit. I mean, that'd be great if we could find someone there. I mean, and, you know, that's one of those things too. I don't think that this is gonna be an easy find, but we'll never find anyone if we don't try. So, anyway.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Claris. Do you want to put a dollar there that the annualized cost, you had it in here somewhere, 50,
$23.75 an hour, right? Is that what it was?
okay, 2375 plus
This is
benefits.
full-time and benefits, then.
Okay, okay. Do I have a second to that motion?
I second it.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for roll call. Commissioner Claris?
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
No.
Commissioner Marsh?
No?
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, Kim, we've had you in the back row there for a while. Thank you.
Morning, Chairman Messer and Commission. Kim Cassian, Stark County Recorder. I prepared just a little brief overview of what's going on in the last 3 months in our office. Clearly, our office deals with recording marriage licenses, ceremonies, and passport applications. I provided a little numbers for you guys as far as what's in your report. I'm assuming, Karen, you have it in the right? Okay, so recording is a little bit higher, about $100 or 100 documents more, almost to exact, from last year in 2024, from this year, so January through March. And this information is not including yesterday because I wanted to get the report to you guys before the meeting. So, and then as far as generated revenue, it's about $5,000 more. And then as far as passport data from last year, we are about, I don't know the percentage right offhand, but as you can see, the significance from the last quarter last year to this year. And as far as passport applications, this, as of yesterday, was 110 alone in March. So that's significantly been increasing as years to come. There are some years, like I looked back in 2018, our total for the year was 400 passport applications. And we have almost that just for the first 3 months in this year. So that has significantly increased.
What do you think causes the increase in passport applications?
Winter?
Well, I know.
Winter?
Winter, yes, that's probably a big part of it, but I mean, everybody just seems like they want to go out of the country to, you know, and this is passport applications for kids, adults, this is everybody. So, I mean, it's, and we get surrounding counties there, you know, Billings County does passports, Dunn County does, obviously Burley and Morton do as well. But we get the surrounding counties, people that are, you know, the smaller counties like, Hettinger County,
Hettinger,
Slow
Adams,
County, yep, around, you know, surrounding areas, or if they're not available for appointments, they come here. And we like to do appointments, but at the same time, we do accept our walk-ins, and sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. You know, we get 3 or 4 people waiting in a line, or you have a family of 5 waiting, and you know, it's not just one person applying; it's the whole family. So, what the increase is, but back in 2020, that we also do help people with renewals as well. We don't mail them off; they have to mail them off on their own, as far as adult renewals. But kids, if they had a passport for less than 5 years, we do have to take them in as a new application, even though they are kind of technically renewing, but it's considered a new application. So we do assist with a lot of those. And yeah, so I mean, and when 2020 came around, 2010 was a big, like, I want to say boom, where people were applying for passports. So average adult passport is good for 10 years. Kids are only good for 5s. So we kind of see that people renewing, or so also people wanting to go places, because you have to have a passport to go into Canada, Mexico, even the Caribbean. They say you could probably get in with your birth certificate, but most people are just like, we're just gonna get the passport. So yeah. And then as far as like marriage licenses, marriage ceremonies, as you can see on the graph there, has decreased a little bit. But I feel like
You know why that has happened?
just winter, I don't
Winter,
know. Yeah, but I will say that from the years, I look back at some of the prior years, so from like 2020 to 2025, that actually has been decreasing as far as people coming in to get marriage licenses. So 2019, 2018, those were some higher years. We had around like 300 and some marriage applications, you know, and now it's getting to the point where we only probably issue, well, like last year, I think we were just over 200 marriage applications. So why that's decreasing? People are just not getting
Not a lot
married.
for the size of our community.
Yeah, no.
Or they're going out of state too, because we can only issue a marriage license for North Dakota. So if they get married in South
Destinations,
Dakota
yeah.
or other states, we don't have anything to do with that, so.
Okay.
I just want to touch bases a little bit too. I have Endrin quarterly meetings, so usually they start in January, and then April, we do a July one in Fargo, and then October. So the 3 are in Bismarck, and then 1 is in Fargo. Usually I don't attend the one in July, just because it's a lot of budgeting for the year and whatnot, and it's kind of a far drive for just about an hour, 2-hour meeting. So, but the other ones are in Bismarck. I attended the Capital Connection in February. During the months of February and March, I've been working on delinquent tax notices. I think we had, I don't know if Karen can touch on the number. It's definitely over like 400 this year. Half of them, I think, were Western North Dakota Development, but that's beyond the point, so. But yeah, then I have to search those for state tax liens, current mortgages, any mechanics liens, stuff like that, and that's each individual one. So I have to write on pretty much every one of them and sign every one of them. The clerk of court also deals with them as well, so. And then my office specialist and deputy have been working on cleaning out the basement, our basement vault. That's stuff that's just kind of been sitting down there, needed to go through, making room for that. And then our next project is we're going to be looking at getting renovating our vault so we can get more use of the space that we have back there. Because it's kind of crammed. We don't have a whole lot of space in that vault, and we do have preservation money to do it. And obviously it would be coming to you guys for approval on that, but that's kind of our next work in progress that we want to get started on, so. I also have the County Recorders Conference in June in Fargo this year as well, so. I did want to touch on one thing though. currently, as of January 1, 2025, we are currently Endrin is currently partnering with Fiddler Technologies. We have the property fraud alert live. It went live as of January 1, and anybody that owns property in the county, we got ahead of the fraud before it went to legislation. But basically, any name that you have, say it's in your name, you know, like Kim Cassian, it would be in my name, my property. You can go on our website. It's active on my county recorder website. It's called Property Fraud Alert, and you can sign up for it. It'll give you any notifications on things that are going on towards your property. So if anything was recorded towards any one of your names recently, that will show up. And we're working on
Excuse me, any deed, any.
Indeed. Yep, and we're working on the uploads and getting that all implemented, so there's still some kinks being worked out and whatnot, but that is available on the website.
Have we actually seen any property fraud in Dickinson or Stark
Not
County?
not that we know of. I mean, I haven't seen any, but you know, I
always see this scary commercial on TV.
yes,
I'm like,
and
who
that's
does
a big
that?
part of it is why we implemented something before, because it is a big thing. We see it all around the world. But I know Fiddler Technologies, I think, is associated with, I can't remember how many states, but North Dakota is one of them. And we have that. So if you guys have property, go ahead and go on. It's on my, link is on my page, the recorder page on our website, and you can sign up for that. You can sign up any businesses too. So you can sign up multiple times, and you can either receive a text message, phone calls, or emails as well. So you can sign up for that as well. So that's kind of a notification for anybody in the county if they do want to sign up for that, if they want to get ahead of worrying about fraudulent activity on their property. This would be the time to sign up for it.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nedrin. What's the approximate lead time if I drop off a deed today by the time it shows up on the Nedrin link?
7 to 10 days. Kind of basically from when I get it recorded, it goes through the processing of getting indexed, verified. Usually 7 to 10 days is our time frame. But like in March, we were kind of slow on recording, as you probably saw on the numbers wise. Can be between 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on our workload at the time and how many appointments we have for passports, marriage licenses, you know, all that stuff. So it does play a factor on our busyness and whatnot, so.
I know some counties have actual indexing, I mean, online, like
yep.
your track books and whatnot. Have you guys thought
So
about
I
going
actually,
that direction?
I do, I had my office specialist scan the tracked indexes that we do have. I haven't decided if I'm gonna put them on Endrin, because that's, I mean, either way, the money does come back to us. It just comes at a later time, whereas people call, and I'd like to have them available on Eagle, but I don't know if I'm gonna go to Endrin with those yet, because we get a lot of that. But it might help us with our searches too, as far as, okay, they want this book and page, all they have to do is request it. So, I mean, it's debating on that yet.
So when you go on Nedrin and you buy a copy of a document out of this system, do you actually get a fee or a portion of that fee they charge?
No, we do. Yep, we actually are, a few years back, I think it was in 2018 or 19, if I'm remembering right, we get our full refunds of that. Now, within the next 2 years, since we signed up for this fraud property alert, part of those of our revenue that comes back from people purchasing those documents is going towards that Fiddler. And that's just something we just kind of wrote into the contract with that revenue coming back to the county. So we get a little less for the next couple of years, but we do get. And that's, part of that goes into preservation and some of it goes into the county recorder fund.
Just need a good oil boom.
Yeah.
Need a bunch of landmen in there
Yeah.
recording documents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just one last question I have. Obviously, open records requests is still a hot topic, especially at the legislature, and I believe it was 2008, or I can't remember the number. Anyway, some of the testimony was from other recorders across the state was that someone will come in, do an open records request and say, hey, I'm Neil Messer, I live in Ohio, and I want a copy of documents relative to, you know, my family. And I was extremely surprised to hear that some recorders are actually providing that information
And so,
and only getting billed at $20 or $25 an hour to
so
do
the
that.
first hour is free.
Yeah.
And then any time after that, it is $25 an hour. We can charge them plus the copy fees on top of it,
But
which
there's
is
no way you
usually.
can operate for $25 an hour. That's a losing proposition for you.
Well, sometimes it is. That's per hour. So it takes 4 hours to do a search. That's $100 right off the top there.
Right.
And yeah, I get what you're saying there, but at that same time, these are probably not saying all counties do it, but some of the smaller counties that do have time to do that.
Okay.
That's also part of its running title.
Right.
Now,
Say, I mean,
Yep.
so you could call, I could call one of these courthouses, they could run a track.
That was the testimony, that they were doing it because it was cheaper for them to go at $25 an hour than pay your land band $75 an hour or $150 a day
Exactly.
to do it.
I think the
So-
landman would be pretty upset with this.
I think.
Yes.
Well, that, you know, so anyway.
And
Well,
that
it was
puts more
supposed to go to
work on our
40
plate
hours
too,
free.
so.
They wanted to make it 40 hours free, so, anyway.
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah, it was dumb.
it is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right.
I'm glad
Any-
you answered all their questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would commend you for doing this. Number two, the question would be, do the other commissioners find this useful and helpful
Yeah.
for having the department heads coming in?
Yes, it is very
It's been
useful to
kind of
have
on my wish list.
Yeah.
But I think it's extremely helpful and good that we're doing it, so thank you for doing that.
And if it works for you guys, quarterly?
even-
Or do you guys want
Whatever's
it every
fine.
month?
Whatever works,
Quarterly?
yep. Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions from you guys?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
All right, thank you.
All right. Alcohol special event permit. Ms. Karen.
On that permit on the second page, I think there's a mistake, an error on the question number 2. It's not in the incorporated city.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, my license, yeah, it gets confusing because my license is in incorporated city, but the license out there isn't. So yeah, you're right about that. I apologize.
Do we know anything about these guys?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve it just because we did last year.
Okay. I have a motion to have a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, I don't think we need roll call on this, so all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, let's go to the PRC abatement process. Karen, again.
Okay, so as everybody knows, the primary residence credit has been really joyful topic. And we are on to the, so we have 2024 mobile homes, okay, and mobile homes are paid in the year. So like 2024 mobile homes, they paid 2024 mobile homes in 2024, whereas real estate is a year
In arrears.
behind. So these people paid their 2024 taxes, and they also filled out the abatement form for their mobile home taxes. And we need to issue them their dollars for the primary residence credit money that we receive from the state. So they paid these taxes, well, it's been, close to a year and a half ago. And now we are able to issue them the dollars towards their mobile home. We did receive the check from the state. We are trying to deal with the mobile home thing like one step at a time because it was kind of forgotten about before in legislation. And we are also have 2 real estate abatements that were filled out that we did receive the money from the state from as well for $500 each. Now with the abatements that are done, because this was a little iffy too, is how much are these people receiving? You do not receive more than what you paid. I just want to make everybody clear on that. So if they are receiving, if they paid if their real estate taxes were $328.36, that is what you are getting back. You are not getting $500 back. So, that took some clarification because at first the state was gonna do just 500. And so we had to roll that back in. And so what I need from the commission is the ability to issue these abatements and send the checks. We have agreed to send the checks back to the homeowners specifically for primary residence credit. We will issue the checks to the homeowners as opposed to the mortgage company or what have you that paid the taxes, just for the primary residence credit.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to authorize those PRC payments be done. Costs us nothing other than a lot of time.
So move.
Okay, motion by Claris, second by Commissioner White. Roll call vote, Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay. And well, we're kind of late in the day here, so unless someone has, I was just gonna work on update on the property tax bill and a couple other things, but if you have an opportunity, I would suggest you call Senator Rummel, Senator Kessel, Senator Van Osteen. The gas tax bill 1382 is supposed to hit the floor, I don't know if it's today, soon. So if you have an opportunity to show support for that, the way that bill is structured, it would be a 3-cent increase in the gas tax. 1 cent would go to the cities, 1 cent would go to the townships, 1 cent would go to the counties. The gas tax has not been increased since 2005. It's held at that. There's no way we're doing roads, bridges, and structures at that same rate.
No.
And the proponents of property tax elimination were big advocates for saying we like user fees. Well, this is user fee in the 10th degree, so I think this is, I don't like paying taxes, but this is one where you see the results directly. So it's going to be a close vote, without a doubt. Rural is more supportive generally to these things than urban. So again, if you could do that, that would be great. And if you want, I'll gladly talk about property tax with you after the meeting. I don't know, people have things to do and places to go, so. Hearing that,
So we have,
anything else on the agenda? If not, motion to adjourn.
okay,
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner White.
so we had that Southwest.
We did that already.
Second,
I'll second it.
and all in favor signify saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, meeting adjourned.